please.
Just hang out. Let the council president make it.
We'll add it.
Thank you. Okay, we are on the record. Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, March 11, 2019. This is a municipal caucus. The start was supposed to be at 5:30. The clock on my cell phone is showing 5:46. May I have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley.
Present.
Councilperson Prinzari.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano. Here. Councilperson Yun is absent. Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Robertson is also absent. And Councilperson Rivera. Councilperson Waterman is not here yet. She expected, correct? Okay. And Council President Navarro.
Here.
So we have 6 members in attendance at this time. Adequate notice was sent to all, so I can certify to total compliance with the Sunshine Law. The agenda was disseminated on Thursday, March 7, 2019 at 4 p.m. to the mayor, council, business administrator, and the newspapers, and posted on the World Wide Web. So that's the total certified to the Sunshine Law. And I'm going to turn it over to the council president.
So at the outset, just want to offer our condolences to Councilman Robinson, who couldn't be with us tonight. He lost very abruptly a very close cousin of his, Tony Robinson. So we wish him our condolences, and our thoughts and prayers are with him. Is there anything else to do? Okay. And then, of course, I want to acknowledge the heroic efforts of our councilman at large, Councilman Rivera. All just part of the day for Councilman Rivera, saving lives and passing legislation. So. Great job, Councilman. Great job. Let's see. That being said, let's get started. We will start and let our folks who are volunteering their time on Keep Jersey City Beautiful, and John Lynch, and he's got a team with him. John Lynch, Christopher Branch, and Renee Cassidy, right? And of course, Councilwoman Prinzari has been working with him. And Esteban Rodriguez. Okay. You want to come on up and do your presentation? You need me to move out of the way here?
No, that's good. Well, let's start out. We got some shirts left from last year, so if you want this year's shirts, you got to show up, volunteer. Rich, I expect you to be out there in Ward C.
That's the motto on
Something wearing a bear.
So we got some extra larges and larges. Here, you want one?
I don't need one, thanks.
We actually have new designs for this year. Councilman, you can grow into yours.
I won't be able to make
This is the new design?
No.
That's the
No,
last.
you're getting last year's. You want the new one, but I know you participated last year.
Thank you.
You're not a
This is the collector's series.
Okay.
So I'm not informed, John. Is that what that is?
Yes, that is irresistible. And anybody else that would like them. So thank you for your time.
We add in the
So, just keep America beautiful.
No, those.
Keep Jersey City beautiful. We're the first affiliate of Keep America Beautiful. So, and this whole project is, over the last couple of years, we would have between 800 and 1,000 volunteers come out. Well, this year, our goal is to get 2,000 volunteers. And the only way that's going to happen is through the participation of everyone. We'd like our council to help promote it. Mira's taken the lead for years on Keep America Beautiful. She's been the lead person on that affiliate. So Keep America Beautiful, their goal is to inspire people every day to take action and improve and beautify their communities by mobilizing volunteers to come out and keep their community clean. In honor of Earth Day this year, this is the 4th time we're doing this, so in honor of Earth Day, we're going to host another Jersey City Beautiful. And then during the citywide initiative, we're encouraging residents to come out, clean the parks, the streets. We're going to do some planting, and also we're going to have some recycling going on, paying attention to recycling, because recycling is good money. Now, none of this happens without having some great people on the team. I have Renee and Chris. They're going to head up some locations, and you'll see the different locations as you see here, where Overton Park, Lincoln Park, Jones Square Plaza, Pleasure Field, Lenny Gordon Park, Riverview Park, Hamilton, and Arlington. So there'll be all the hosting locations where people can come, they'll check in, they'll get shirts, we have gift bags, they'll get water bottles, and then through our partners, they'll get educational information. Year over the year, the first year, 800 volunteers, 14 tons of debris and litter, and 4 tons of recycling. The second one, improved 1,000 volunteers, 16 tons of garbage, and 7 tons of recycling. And then the third year, last year was 1,000 plus, 19 tons, and 9 tons of recycling. So every year we improve. So this year, we expect to even do more. So Esteban is heading up our volunteer effort, so give him an opportunity.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Esteban Rodriguez. I'm the coordinator for community engagement and volunteerism here in the city. So I'm here to speak on how we're going to ramp up volunteerism and community engagement for this year's cleanup. Obviously, we want to target residents, and the way we're going to do that, we've developed a multi-pronged approach, and we'll be promoting through social media, email blasts, direct outreach, utilizing our Keep Jersey City beautiful flyer. It was redesigned this year, and it looks great. Everybody's going to be giving 2 hoots this year. We have begun outreach at our local schools and universities. To date, we have NJCU's Office of Community Engagement's commitment to a day of action. Also, Hudson County Community College will be promoting to their students to really drum up interest. Outreach this year, outreach to the youth is really at the forefront of our campaign. To date, we have 6,141 high school students in our city. And those are who we really want to target. They have to complete community service hours in order to graduate, and we feel that this would be a wonderful opportunity for them to do so. Additionally, we will be disseminating information to local schools, charter schools, and our technology schools as well. We're targeting community organizations such as Big Brothers Big Sisters, Team Wilderness, Team Walker, New City Kids, and Camp Liberty, who have all also committed to participating with their youth. Furthermore, we feel that it's important to reach out to our local businesses, both large and small, so we will be doing that to get their employees and owners involved to help in the cause. Local representatives will be speaking at community meetings, like SAD meetings, neighborhood block associations, to really help us get the word out. In order to get residents and people who are interested involved, we'll be utilizing our Jersey City website, https://volunteer.jerseycity. This is what it'll look like. You'll find this on the home page. If you click the apply button right there, we've really made it very easy. Just hit apply, it'll take you to our Cognito form, which is right here. We also, have consistent with marketing and the owls. Easy stuff here. Just name, basic information. Are you attending with the kid? If so, what school do they go to? So we can sign off on community service hours. Simple.
This is the first year we actually automated it by having people sign up. Today, we went live with the link today. We already had 100 volunteers. So I really believe we're great. Yeah. So usually if they would call in and say they're going to volunteer, so this is working very well. And I know Councilman, you retweeted what I put out there, so thank you very much. I expect to see a lot of that. Some of our partners, as I said, that we're going to be giving out informational. Everything from recycling, cultural affairs, health and human services, HICA, MUA, sustainability. So any kind of information that they have or any things that they'd like to give out as giveaways, they'll also be there and they'll be partnering at the tables with us. And then that's the flyer, a banner that's going to be over all the parks in all locations. That's this year's shirt, so if you want an updated shirt. A tote bag, a reusable tote bag, so since we're getting away from plastic bags. And this is just some pictures from last year, so we actually do collect a lot of garbage. And with that, I thank you. Director Stamato, I know you've thank you for appointing me to do this year. Do you have anything?
No, I just think everybody, the team is doing really well. Very proud of you guys. John, you've done an excellent job, and all your team members. And Mira, thank you so much for your support, and you have been definitely the driving force. The years that I started on this, Mira was definitely a driving force. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, God, she was replaced.
Driving force.
Good questions for the team? folks?
John, I just want to say, you're one of the best city workers. I call you for anything. You're great, John.
Thank you, Rick.
Anyone have questions? Just with regard to the plastic bag ban, will that be
Oh, you too.
highly prominent in your marketing efforts there to make sure all these volunteers are aware of our?
Yeah, we reached out, so we definitely want the education, the information at the tables and everything. You know, they want to set up, you know, someone was talking about setting up like, you know, a board, or, you know, if that's something they'd like to do, you know, there's eight different locations. If they can make it to all 8 locations, that'd be great. Definitely aiming to educate people about those bags.
Yes, Kate.
We'll have materials distributed to all locations
Great.
regarding the back end.
Anything else, anyone? Folks, thank you so much. And now I'm going to bring up friends from Hudson Regional, but Margaret, just for one item. And
Yep,
We're
that's
going to go back in line after that.
board.
Yeah. So we want to bring, that's 10F. 10F is the resolution.
I don't have t-shirts.
Come back when you have.
Sorry, maybe next time.
So 10F is a resolution accepting the Hudson Regional Health Commission's 2019 assessment to the City of Jersey City to provide a broad range of environmental health services pursuant to County Environment Health Act.
Thanks. So my name is Carrie Naraki. I'm the director over at Hudson Regional Health Commission. We were here last year, so what I brought you kind of is similar. It's an update. So I have a handout for all of you. The first document in there is the director's report. This is a report that we share with our Board of Commissioners. We share it with the county. It's all of our activities for 2018. Carrie Naraki. Yes. Sure. I'm just going to give you a chance to look at it. Okay. So the second document in there, it's the yellow tab, and that is an activity report we prepared specifically for Jersey City. Those are all the activities for 2018 for the city. And then following that is a green tab, and in that tab we have all of the programs that we do, kind of an overview. So with me I brought Nick Ravelli, he's our environmental specialist, a senior, and Alyssa Birdnick, she is part of our emergency preparedness program, so that they could kind of each give you a brief overview of those programs, and then if you have any general questions, we could take them. Okay.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
I'm Nick Ravelli, a Senior Environmental Specialist over at Hudson Regional. I'm just going to go through some of the programs. If you have any questions, again, just stop me. We are the lead agency for DEP in Hudson County. So we have full powers of DEP. We enforce in the air pollution control program, in which we conduct inspections and investigations to ensure compliance with the New Jersey Pollution Control Act. We do the Right to Know program, where Hudson Regional acts as the county lead agency for the State Department of Health. We also do the pesticide program, and again, enforcing all provisions of the New Jersey Pesticide Control Program. We are in solid waste, in which the Commission enforces under the New Jersey Solid Waste Management Act. And we are also the hazmat team for Hudson County. We're the CHA certified and New Jersey State Police trained hazmat team for Hudson County, in which we provide emergency response and investigation for chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive incidents in the county. All members of our hazmat team are trained as hazmat technicians and incident command, and we work very closely often with Jersey City Fire Department. We also enforce on the State Noise Control Act, in which all of our inspectors are NJDEP certified noise control officers. This year, in 2018, we responded to and investigated many complaints throughout the county, 44 of which were in Jersey City. And lastly, we do the, that was the right to know program, no. And that's basically just an overview of our programs. Does anybody have any questions with that?
Any questions, council members? None? Okay, no questions for you. Anyone else?
Okay, we also have the links program, which.
Okay,
take a listen.
come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alyssa Burdnick. I am the Public Health Planner and Health Educator with Hudson Regional Health Commission. So in addition to the environmental aspect of Hudson Regional, we also receive funding through the CDC to do public health emergency preparedness planning. So that's where I come in. So Hudson Regional is the lead for that as well. We work with all the municipalities in Hudson County, so of course Jersey City. We work very closely with the local health departments. So the grant had originally started with bioterrorism, but it slowly incorporated CBRN events, which is chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive events, and it also turned into an all hazards approach, which is where our severe weather events come in. So planning is a huge piece of this grant, and we work closely with Jersey City to plan for almost like pop-up clinics for prophylaxis in the event that someone, that population in Jersey City would be exposed to something like an anthrax or smallpox. So we would be responsible for receiving assets from the New Jersey Department of Health, which of course in turn would come from CDC, and we would be responsible for delivering these assets to the local population so that they can prophylax the affected population. So in addition to that huge aspect, because it would be 48 hours of prophylaxis, we also do community events. Any topics, any emerging infectious disease topics, I'm happy to come out and educate and disseminate information. We work closely with UASI with Jersey City, which is the Urban Area Security Initiative, and in terms of planning, we work closely with Jersey City OEM and Hudson County OEM to make sure that our numbers for first responders are current so that we can also prophylax them first. Hudson Regional Health Commission also houses the Medical Reserve Corps. So these individuals volunteer. They would be responsible for staffing pods. 165 of our volunteers do live in Jersey City. We train these individuals yearly on a lot of interesting topics that they would need. In your packet, there are a list of the trainings that we did from 2018. And additionally, we operate the Health Alert Network. So any timely and important updates and information that come from the CDC and state, we disseminate to the appropriate population. So there's also numbers on how many updates and alerts and advisories we've received is also in your packet there. And lastly, I will also say that if I know I said that we would do training for emerging infectious disease outbreaks. If there is something that is timely and appropriate to Jersey City, I'm also trained in risk communication, so any talking points or anything that would be helpful, I would most certainly help with and assist with. Any questions?
Questions, Councilmember?
Would you mind just spelling your last name for me?
Sure. Berdnik.
N-I-K?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Quick question. How do you coordinate, if at all, with our CERT team or with the CERT folks?
So CERT team is always invited to our Medical Reserve Corps meetings that we train them. They're always welcome and they get the invite sent out for the trainings.
Okay.
And we do work closely with Jersey City CERT team as well. We did a American Red Cross fire and smoke alarm outreach event where they participated as well. So they're always welcome to come to our meetings and they're very important with our MRC.
Okay, great.
And United Rescue too?
Yes.
The assessments, how are they calculated? Are they the same for each town, or is it based on population?
Assessments, you said?
Yeah.
I can answer that. The assessments, they're population-based. They were set, I guess the formula was set back in like 1970, and they haven't changed in 10 years. So they've been pretty stable.
Anyone else? No?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Ed, you want to come up next?
That's right.
Ed Tolosa?
They said they represented the EP. My nephew.
Carmen, I don't have one. Does Carmen give you one?
I'm here for
sorry.
Z11.
You'll see there's a replacement that was just distributed.
Yes. That should be the first replacement that you have, council members. So Z11 is a resolution to cancel 2017 and 2018 real estate taxes on properties owned by New Jersey City University due to an erroneous assessment pursuant to NJSA 54:4-3.3.
Yeah, the NJCU is a tax exempt entity. What happened here, the question arose when NJCU executed a lease to the developer. There was the difference between whether the lease was effective at a certain date or another date. Our law department and the counsel from the other party came up that based on that interpretation, the effective date of the lease is when they get a certificate of occupancy or a continued certificate of occupancy. On that basis, the NJCU property should not be assessed at the years and time that we have it, 2017, 18, and 19, basically, it's still assessed at 19, where it would be addressed by either an appeal or with this cancellation.
But those would be pilots, right?
That's correct, yes. Okay. Once the CO or the CCO kicks in, then they would begin paying pilot.
And so the effective date of those pilots, I mean, given what you're saying, then, I forget what the terms of the pilot were, but do you remember what it was?
The question is basically, when does the lease become effective? And based on the interpretation, the lease becomes effective once they get a certificate of occupancy.
So basically what we passed, is, I'm just making, I don't remember if it was 20 years or 30 years, but if it was hypothetically 20 years.
The pilot, yes.
It was 20 years from the date after 2019, I guess.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Got it. Anyone questions? Hearing none? Thank you.
Thank you.
Carmen, yeah. Carmen has 10S. S is in Sam. This is,
Resolution authorizing the award of a contract with Civitas LLC for the preparation of the city's 5-year consolidated plan 2020 to 2024 annual action plan and update the city's analysis of impediments to the fair housing plan. That's 10S.
Anyone have any questions or why we're embarking in this?
So, anyone questions? Anyone?
I guess it's why Civitas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Professional services for.
So Civitas, in regards to all the other proposals that we received from Topology, Mosaic, our prior consultant that had done the work, seemed to be the most experienced and most cost-effective in preparing the proposal for us. Civitas was also more recently awarded a TA contract with our regional office to be their finance technical provider in assistance. And so in trying to map out a design, or as getting to selecting this consultant, they were the most qualified and I would say most cost-effective in comparison to our prior consultant who 4 years ago, when I came on board, we paid $68,000 for both the C plan and the AI. Civitas is doing relatively a little more extensive work, more of the data mapping tools I think that we need. I think we've come a long way as a division in regards to preparing reports and doing some visuals, and Civitas brings the expertise that I think that we need to help the division.
Any other questions, council? As you do this work, this plan,
Yep.
with regard to housing and what the work that the planning department is doing, you guys are working closely together on this, and
So
because they're putting together this inclusionary zoning plan and then the master plan around that in terms of trying to figure out kind of where our housing needs are and things of that nature.
So I think I have been working closely with planning, with Anissa being our director. She's really put community development planning together. I think it's no secret that planning before didn't have a comprehensive report when it came to affordable housing, and community development led a lot of the data initiatives. And so whereas the federal requirement really shouldn't be leading the city in regards to assessing its its requirements of housing. And so what planning is doing, and with their consultant who I've met with, is putting that data element of assessing all of the city's housing needs, where community development will always be focused on the LMI, right, the low to moderate income clientele of the city. So it's going to be an assessment and collaboration process where we actually have to interview planning and zoning and some other areas of the city to get a full comprehensive report. And in their proposal, they talk about the housing need assessments, what they'll do, and then part of the public engagement and stakeholder interviews that will be a part of that. So it will kind of sort of like actually be an actual real comprehensive report now that we're updating our C plan. The city's doing their report in regards to housing and inclusionary zoning, so it'll be an value add, I would say, this time around.
And I know that, is Tanya here? No?
There she is.
Oh, yeah? Well, when is the master plan, like, what's the timetable on that, Tanya? I'm just wondering in terms of coordination with this 5-year plan, in terms of, as we assess and do a master plan for housing needs and things of that nature. Is tomorrow?
No, we have to move it to the next meeting.
Okay.
But that's only a piece of it, so it's probably going to take us a few months just to finish the housing element because of how we have the consultants. But the actual master plan, we have 3 RFPs that are under review right now by Anicia. And then once that's done, we'll send it out to legal for review, and we're looking at an 18-month process, and hopefully get the RFP.
18 months. So
Where-
then this process will be completed when?
So this is going to take me until February. So
Next year?
Yeah, so our consolidated plan is due 45 days to my fiscal year, which is April 1, so about February 15th of 2020 is when I'm supposed to have all this wrapped up and due. Versus like 5 years ago, we were actually late. I started the process in March of 15, so I'm trying to get ahead of that, so. And again, this is a requirement as hosting and having these grants.
Okay. You see where I'm going with that? Like I mean, she's setting essentially as our funding priorities with HUD and funding for affordable housing and everything, right? And then you're working on a master plan that'll essentially kind of design and provide the framework and some sort of plan as to how we're going to address the affordable housing crisis here in Jersey City. Like the synchronization, I'm not sure how that works and so forth, or how that would work between the two of you guys, but when you're all under the same roof. But somehow, I mean, her plan comes out before your plan.
But understand that
hers is 5 years.
Because community development administers the federal grants, this is a requirement to administer.
No, I get it.
Okay.
You got to do it. You got to get it done.
it.
But in terms of like as you move forward with this and you get to February, as you're still working through your master plan and I guess going 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're two different things technically, just the way that we file them with policy. Well, hers ultimately will report, that doesn't mean that I can't take information, and in fact, I have taken a lot of information. But the way that it kind of gets approved is as a master plan and the policy document of the city, where I don't think yours is necessarily the same idea.
Yeah.
Yours is not a policy document?
No, and then also too, considering that it's not just housing, we assess like the homeless needs, development needs, like it goes.
I get all that.
Yeah, like it's community development and all the pockets that we're in funding sources. This is an element to, I think in development, Tanya can say that we've been talking more consistently this time around, even in the planning approach, and sharing information back and forth. So I think it's just good, again, from the federal perspective, in regards to administering these funds, it will help the city develop a more robust plan, I think.
Which plan? Yours or hers?
Yeah, I would say mine.
Yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think, right? So your plan should be somehow informing her plan in terms of creating a more robust, like, master plan for 5 years, right, around this.
In If anything, hers will be more detailed.
Right.
Mine's much more high level.
Right. Hers is more detailed, so.
Yeah, the math percentage was a very high level.
All I'm saying is you need to make sure that her information is part of your plan.
Absolutely.
So that
I mean-
there's synchronization there and like, in terms of where our funding priorities go in the future. I mean, her stuff won't be done by the time yours is done.
Correct.
But I guess whatever kind of data that you have and things that are informing your master plan, ultimately development, to be informing your.
The process. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, okay. Great.
Anything else?
That's it. Nope, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, I've got Brian Weller and Director Shea for 10P. Both of you coming up here. 10P as in Peter.
10P is a resolution authorizing award of contract from Louis Gargiulo and Company for the Marion Gardens Police Auxiliary
John.
Building Project 2017-003 for the Department of Administration and Architecture.
You just be up here too at some point. I think I'll have a question for you in regard to this. I'll turn it over to you guys.
That's 10P.
Good evening, Council. We put the project out to bid and are making a recommendation to award to the lowest responsible bidder. And the work is to create a police annex office at the Marion Gardens.
This was brought up, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
3.
And what was the problem?
The problem at that time was we were trying to convert it into the police headquarters, and it was cost prohibitive.
It doesn't, police headquarters doesn't belong down there.
Agreed.
It belongs in the center of the city. People can reach it. So what's this gonna be now, actually?
It's to be for police annex offices.
For who?
Right now, the plan is police units that are in Bob Baker's building over at Bishop Street, support services, the chief of support services, the background unit, possibly the seniors, depending upon computer things, but that'll be Bob's hall, down the road, and training room. We'll move all them up there. Right now, we're sitting on, everyone knows Marion Gardens is challenging from our crime suppression things. We have permanent presence there 24/7. It's one of 5 places in the city that is part of our anti-violence program. We keep police there permanently, face-to-face relief 24/7. So this is just a way, and it's been planned for 3 years, and we can talk offline about why it didn't go the other way. There was a lot of factors, not just the prohibitive cost. But this is a way to get a permanent facility, which we wanted to for a while, into that part of the city. Our response to that part of the city is probably one of the furthest from its district, to get out there. So there's a lot of reasons why it gets less police attention than it probably should. We don't have any police facilities in any of our housing things, so we're thinking of moving this one up, we're planning on moving these units up there, opening this off-site annex there, and then down the road, we're still looking at something in the other half of the city in the south to move a police facility over there.
It's amazing. We built the annex down on MLK Drive, too small. We have to build another building. Now we're gonna have another building down on Marion Gardens. It's like we keep on building, but it's all like screwed up with everything we do. And it's a shame.
So I know you said talk offline about it, but to that point, so the original police headquarters was to be there. I understand it was cost prohibitive to do that. Personally, I thought that the entire project was dead, right? So last time I spoke to the former BA, Bob Katkowski, about it, that was my impression I was left with, although in hindsight I would say he never said that per se, but that's what I was left with. So I'm a little surprised with this coming and so forth, and so I know you said talk offline about it, but I'd kind of like to know why.
We never gave up on the project.
Yeah.
From the public safety. The problem was differences of opinion between what needed to be built, what needed to be done there, challenges on the building side to bring it up to code. If we're going to bring it,
And that way we're never going to own it. It was going to
and that we're never going to own it.
Never have the possibility of owning it.
Because of part of housing property. So
that's why, and there were differences of opinion about the various cost of various possibilities to make it a headquarters. So we decided instead of a headquarters, we would go with a support, police support annex. And as far as building, I mean, just from a public safety standpoint, putting everything in one place is not as good to us as spreading them out. These type of places anchor a neighborhood. You put them in, you put them in there, you have police going to work there, you have police coming in and out of the facility all the time. That's good for the community. So I'd rather not take every unit and put it together in Bishop Street where nobody sees them, and they're hidden off to the side. I'd rather put them in the community where people live. A recruitment unit might move there for a while, depending on when it opens, but we don't want to take that out of where it is now over at the annex.
Director, it has nothing to do with you, but over the last several years, maybe 10 years, we closed the 3rd precinct, the 1st precinct, the 7th precinct. We sold 325 Palisade Avenue, we sold 8 Erie Street, and it,
And the academy, almost there.
And the academy. And now all we're doing is building. It doesn't make any sense to me.
So what's the plan for the police headquarters going forward?
Police headquarters, we're also looking at several other locations.
So we're still exploring that, we don't have a...
Yeah, there's no long-term plan to keep them where they are, because that's lease space also that we'll never own. We do not have any benefit there because no one knows they're there. There's no visible benefit. In a community, it doesn't do that anchoring function, that I just mentioned. So the idea is we're still looking for a location that we would eventually, not just police headquarters, police, fire, public safety headquarters of public safety, whatever, all really should be built in a separate location.
We're still paying $848,000 for one Journal Square.
It's about $350.
It's down to $350?
Yeah, well, only because we moved half of the offices out, so you're right. Yeah, we shouldn't be there. We should never have done that. We should not have sold Erie Street.
I walk in there and I go, come in, buy your coffee, buy your groceries. I mean, that's the most pathetic building there is.
Agreed.
There's no presence, too, no police presence.
So what's the timeline for police, fire, public safety headquarters, or?
The city's looking at different sites and are making recommendations. So you will see some recommendation from public safety in a couple of weeks.
And I know they're serious about it because they've asked us for what personnel count, what kind of equipment, what kind of computers Bob would have to run in there. So there's obviously things going on.
Oh, God, yeah. I was making money for the city with the academy.
Yeah, the mayor is serious about solving the facilities issues. The districts are all old. The East District is stuffed in a
brownstone.
The brownstone thing. Sort of thing. And so, fire headquarters is on one of the most valuable pieces of property downtown with a parking lot next to it. I don't know if you visited, but it has 60 car parking lot. So
a lot of underutilized space.
I've met with Mayor Fulop, with the business administrator, and over the last 3 weeks, and the mayor is very committed to saying, okay, let's make all sense out of this. They've been trying to make deals with some developers, perhaps to build facilities within theirs, but I think Mayor Fulop's feeling is let's get moving on this. We also have Bayfront. Is there going to be a firehouse out there? So we'll be coming to the council with some recommendations once public safety
And
just what they feel.
Just to Councilman Bogiano's point, everybody knows the primary thing of situating our police and fire stations are service, where they need to be to provide the service, like you said. But then the secondary benefit, especially to a lot of these support units, are these kind of anchor points around the neighborhoods. And half the city never really got any, and the other half did. So we're looking into spreading them out through the whole city, so the whole city gets these advantages of having these facilities there, if we can.
Suggested to me by Councilman Robinson that looking at the annex, MLK.
That's one of the locations because the city controls the land. So, one of the successes of a city is that all the land becomes valuable. And now where you build it. Like you said, Councilman, what are you going to do? We sold Palisade Avenue, ran it into the ground. And what I'm trying to do is make it so that we don't do that again and again. So now we're having, where can we build these facilities? We had a hard time finding the DPW land. That was dumb. Because the land is just not there anymore.
I mean,
So yes, that's one of the locations, because it's in the redevelopment plan, right there, in that plan.
I just want to be clear, like when we're talking about Marion Gardens, the vast majority of people who live there are good people. We all know that, they're working people and everything. But it's one of the places that there is a small, tiny minority that has violence connected to it. And it's been a problem for us forever that results in us spending a lot of money on policing to control it. And it's not just them, it's them and how far they are from a police facility and how difficult it is to respond. So there's a lot of benefit to having a permanent police presence in that location. It won't just benefit Marion Gardens, it'll benefit the entire community up there. And then usually when you put something like this up there, smaller businesses follow to service the people that are working there every day. That's our hope anyway. And we've never given up on it. I'm not sure what Bob said.
So with the plan now is to have who there?
So we'd have the chief's office would be there for our chief of support services, and at the very least, we'd be moving all the units that are currently taking up space in Bob's building, which Bob needs as technology expands. He'll be up talking about some things tonight, but he's probably got our fastest expanding section, and it's going to continue on. So we'd like to move all the units out of Bishop Street where we get no visible presence out of them, and they're taking up space that we need for something else. So the Chief of Support Services, our background unit, our support services unit, our training units, possibly our CJIS unit, but again, that's in the air because Bob would have to make sure that he can run secure computer lines there, and if he can't, we can't move them. And then we have other possibilities. Our ABC unit, we might move recruitment there for a bit, but I've kind of got recruitment slotted to stay in the community that they're in over there on Martin Luther King. And ABC, I'd kind of like to move to the annex building to get some police presence in there also. And
also the public goes to ABC.
At some point, we're going to have to.
A lot of public go there.
At some point, I don't want to turn this into long-term of the police bump, but at some point, we're going to have to shut down that East District, as you just said. It's probably past useful life right now. That includes our retired detective and investigative division. At that point, we should probably find a permanent home for them.
Yeah.
Instead of them just.
And they're in the shoehorn in there.
Huh?
Don't we already have a commitment on the East District?
I don't know.
That's what I refer
past
to.
our laws area?
That's what I refer to. I'm not certain that that's.
Are you kidding? Putting it all the way down on 16th Street or 18th Street?
Well, that's why the mayor is.
Are we taking over
exploring
Hoboken?
anything.
You gotta be kidding. They were gonna, way before your time, Director, they were gonna build a precinct on 18th Street. And I remember I wrote letters on it saying, what are we, protecting Hoboken? I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing, putting anything down there.
I understand your point, but that is another area that's a little underserved. Like that side of the tunnel. There's another housing development over there. There are a lot of people who live there, and it's been building up more and more, and there's really nothing there. But I'm not making a decision. I don't know anything about that. I just know we're going to have to move out of the east at some point, and I'm going to have to find a home for the East District, and that's a good time to find a permanent home for the investigative division, which has been homeless since what you described, when they sold off all the property for nothing. They're shoehorned in.
Right, sure. And ABC is stuck in there too.
Yeah.
That building is shoehorned.
I worked in there for 16 years, and I'll tell you, I love that building.
Well, it's a beautiful building, but.
They ruined it because the city never took care of it. They didn't take care of the roof. We used to change down the basement in this much water, and nobody gave a damn. So it's been going on for 40 years.
Look at the north.
Slowly fixing it.
I'm sorry, I monopolized things. Anyone else have questions?
Was this, just remind me, was this in the capital budget already?
It was. So, yeah, originally, yes.
So the one we passed in March 28th?
No. It's long before that. It was $4 million.
So is this coming from a previous capital budget?
Yes. Previous.
Okay, so this is all from a previous capital budget.
Which,
and so none of the funds go.
Ergo, I've asked Mr. Metro to be here.
Yes.
As well.
And so none of the funds from the 2018 capital budget are being redistributed to this?
No.
Okay.
So, but there are from,
These funds are all for police projects.
from what year was this one? This funding is coming from the money that was appropriated for police headquarters, right?
So I believe this is the 2016 issuance.
Okay.
The council president brought to my attention some of the dollars might have been purposed, investigate that. But the original plan called for the $4 million appropriation, and when the plans looked as if they weren't going to continue, some of the dollars may have been reappropriated, but I'll get you a report on that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Can you get that to us before?
Yeah.
We can- Okay, any other questions, folks? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you have another one?
Yeah.
No, if I'd known you had two, I don't know if I would have.
That is a resolution rejecting the sole bid received by the city of New Jersey City on February 7, 2019 for a contract known as
What is
Local
this?
Theater Standpipe and Emergency Lighting, project number 2013-004. 10N as in Nancy.
So,
Or Norma.
we received one bid for safety and emergency improvements at the Lowe's Theater. We contracted with the historic preservation architect, HMR, and they designed the plans and specifications to try to stay within the budget that we had to make these improvements, using not capital funds, but using grant funds. That's a kind of open space. Unfortunately, this bid came back 100% higher than our architect's estimate, and so it's really not in the city's best interest to move forward with this project. We're going to have to either negotiate or see what we can do with the architect and the contractor to try to make some of the safety improvements with the funds that we have available. All we can do right now is reject these bids.
So who's the pre-bid estimate? Comes from your office?
The architect, the historic preservation architect, HMR architect. We have a contract with them. They're the historic architect of record for the Lowe's.
Anyone, questions?
Is there a reason you think there's only one bid?
I really don't know. It's not a big GC project. It's very specialized. I just don't think that there were subcontractors and small people that were interested. I mean, we gave the project plenty of time. It was advertised as purchasing does all the projects.
Well, it's a pretty scary project because you don't know what's going to happen when you open a wall. You know, you've been to the Lowe's, you look at all of that, you start, so you don't know what you're getting into.
That could be a factor also.
No, it's scary.
That would inflate the prices too.
What are, I guess, these are emergency lighting, I mean, what's the current use without these repairs? I mean, is there any safety issues? What's the,
Well, it's not.
It's using the fire marshal?
Yeah, there are ways around the code, and one has to have a fire marshal at large events. But that costs Friends of Lowe's in the city money, so it would be nice to have automatic controls and things under code that the people are used to seeing in public buildings.
Where's the $2 million for the Lowe's?
I'm sorry?
Where's the $2 million for the Lowe's? The $2 million that was given to the Lowe's 4 years ago, that somebody's holding up.
Unfortunately, that's not in architecture's accounts.
So the question is...
Yeah, I don't know. Was it ever transferred to the city?
Are you talking about the Kushner?
Yeah, the $2 million.
JCRA's holding up.
I mean, I understand the other people gave a couple of $1 million too. Why isn't this money being used? Oh, you know why, so do I know why.
Things that make you go,
I'll ask her where it is. I thought it was only in the newspaper.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Have a good night. Sure. Safe home.
Let's see. I'm going to bring up Bob and reward him for his endurance over the past several meetings. Even though he has multiple items, I think they'll probably go by very quickly, so. He has 10 U, V, W, and X. U, V, W, X.
We'll take it one at a time, Bob?
Yeah, yes, let's
So
start.
10U is a resolution ratifying the award of a contract to AT&T Mobility for wireless devices and services on the state contract with the Public Safety Communications Center.
Public safety moved to FirstNet program, and for those of you who don't know what FirstNet is, if anyone was down, exchanged place with us during the 4th of July, and you looked at your cell phone, You can see as we started getting 50,000, 100,000 people in it, you saw that the signal was degrading. We had a command vehicle down there, which we put every year, that had critical surveillance cameras and whatnot that were absolutely useless because the phone companies throttled back on the bandwidth. Under FirstNet, public safety, fire, and police will always have first priority. It's not throttled back. And we've moved to AT&T, who has proven to us, when the state first started this, we gave it, strict testing. This is about 1,350 devices through public safety. All our vehicles, all the fire apparatus, and now every police officer is now issued a cell phone. And what it does for the police officers is we have apps on it. One, they can watch every single CCTV camera while they're out surveillance. They can do programs, watching what I say, because I know it's being filmed, but they can do programs and checks that normally they would have to go back to the district to do, which now takes a police officer off the street and a vehicle off the street. Now they stay in the field, doing things that they couldn't do before with the technology. One of them is a program that automatically knows where the police officer is, and as calls come in on priorities, it's routed to that closest police officer, and then they're even tracked as to the length of time it took for them to get there and finish. We are moving, as you know, very, we're becoming number one in the country, and I can say that gladly because on the 26th, this is my 6th visit by outside agencies. We have the Boston Police Department, the chief and the whole executive staff coming to Bishop Street to see how we do it, and then taking it back to Boston and enact what we do.
Good for you.
Okay, questions about that, anyone? Okay, hearing none, your next item.
10B is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to CDW Government LLC for the renewal of Cisco SmartNet services maintenance under state contract Department of Public Safety Communications Center.
My IT network, as you know, services 2,300 people, 47 locations. We have 127 network switches that are out there that actually act as, you would say, like a traffic cop, directing the information that comes back and forth across the network. When we first put this in, rushing it through, I told Pat Vega, we put this in originally for $98,400. The actual cost for this is $67,501.86. It's being reduced. We went through the list. There was a lot of stuff that was on the original quote that we didn't need. And what happens with Cisco, understand, if anything happens, Cisco opens up a service ticket for us. Should a switch fail, we get 24-hour replacement for free, and they're expensive, and that happens. So, we cannot afford to have a first responder network sitting idle for days. We only allow it to be idle for an hour or two.
Okay, any questions on that? Hearing none, your next item.
10W is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Safeware, Inc. for the maintenance and repairs of portable radios through the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance for the Department of Public Safety Communications Center.
Just taking it back a little, most of you were here. If you remember, Motorola handed me a contract for $850,000 to maintain the citywide communication system. This is every city vehicle, DPW, HHS, public safety, anyone who has a radio in the city comes through my system. There are currently 3,400 radios on that system. The company that we have now, which Motorola wasn't due for the amount of money, is we now have 24-hour service for the radios. They are repaired on site. We actually now have a radio repair unit. Before, as Councilman Bojan could tell you, an officer came in, dropped the radio, we would ship it to Motorola. 2 weeks later, it would come back. Now you come in, within an hour or so, your radio is repaired in front of you, and you're back out on the street saving. It actually saves hundreds of thousands of dollars the way it is now, and we've made many improvements on their repeater sites.
Okay, any questions? Next item.
Last item Bob has is 10X. Resolution authorizing award of a contract to Safeware, Inc. for computer dispatch, records management, property, and evidence management modules through the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance for the Department of Public Safety Communications.
If you recall, the police department was utilizing General Dynamics, who since stopped servicing the old CAD, and that was a custom-made software program. So we did a lot of research, but 3 years ago, this is actually the second time we're actually paying the contract because we were getting it for free while they were developing. It's custom designed. This is one of the reasons that the departments are coming into us, taking a look at what we're doing. It's really enhanced over the old system. So we get computer-aided dispatch, we get record management, so they're going into the office and they're doing their reports of arrest report, where before it would take an officer 2.5 hours to sit there and type out that report, we have them RPing, resuming patrol, in about 45 minutes to an hour, due to the drop-down menus and stuff that were designed in the system. So again, it puts officers back on the street at a longer time. And we also have our management, evidence management, which was a little bit out of control for years. Now everything is properly tagged. It's given, an ID. Prosecutor's office shares this with us, and it's really, really, expedited and helped us with solving cases as well.
Why on this one is a custom-made product better than, because we have thousands of police departments across the country. Why is a custom-made one a better choice than you're putting this out to bid and having, a vendor provide one that, might work with other departments and then maybe doesn't trap us in an ongoing process of, their maintenance can only come from one person?
We actually did that. We spent a lot of time looking at all sorts of software packages, and out-of-the-box software packages had so many bells and whistles at a cost of $4 million. And, looking at this, and this company came in, and, we looked at them. We actually went to Washington, D.C. They have 37 departments, I believe, in Washington, different police departments. They were utilizing it, so we went down, and, they opened up their doors, and we saw what it was. And really, I wish that you could do is pay a visit. I would love to have you all come down to Bishop Street. I think you really need to see this stuff firsthand so we could sit and to really understand what I'm sitting here saying and what it does. It's cutting edge.
Can you kind of maybe just write up then that explanation of, we did look and here's what we looked at, and here's, if we were to buy it off the shelf, the estimate is $4 million, just so, it's spending $1 million on a custom-made system.
Sure.
We just want to make sure that that's a
positive
choice for us.
Mm-hmm. Can you say what that off-the-box shelf product was, and what you looked at around that?
There were so many. At that time, remember, John Tasic was in charge of IT, Sergeant Tasic. And
You could just get included in the memo that he's...
yeah, I know I just go back and the records are all down there for all the, but there was like, Police One, Responder 4, all these companies and stuff. Of course, once General Dynamics put out across the nation that they were stopping their CAD system, we had everybody in God's creation trying to sell us snake oil. The phones just kept ringing.
Okay. Any other questions, anyone?
Bob, do me a favor, tell your wife and the other young ladies up at St. Nick's, thank you for yesterday. It was really nice.
Thank you.
Great job, Bob. Great job. He didn't eat his food. He had a great shepherd's pie and corned beef and cabbage, all of it going on.
This year was well, this year I only cooked 200 pounds. Normally it's 350, so it was a little bit of a break.
Wow, Bob.
God bless you.
I know. I think there were leftovers, I saw.
There were.
I know. Eric, unless you want to hang out with us all night.
I enjoy all of your company.
Eric has Z13, everyone. It's a license agreement with Jackson Hill Main Street Management, granting it permission to enter onto city-owned property known as 351 Martin Luther King Drive.
Made 9 of these, so I figured all of them show up. My name's Eric Fleming. I work in the Department of Administration. A little background on this project. What it's designed to be is a partnership with the Special Improvement District of this area called the Jackson Hill Main Street Corporation and the city. What we're doing is taking shipping containers and converting them into a place where a budding or aspiring entrepreneur can come and sell their wares. In addition to having this site, the SID will be coordinating with Rising Tide Capital and Goldman Sachs and other parties to offer mentoring and training for these entrepreneurs so they can, grow and thrive. And that would include like understanding what a balance sheet is, calculating their profits, the basics of running a business. This agreement is basically setting up that relationship between the SID and the city.
So who is deciding and determining which organizations or businesses, entrepreneurs get into these?
So the SID will basically serve as the curator for these containers. The idea being they are the local talent, if you will. It is what we're trying to do is get people from that area to come and start hopefully their business careers there. So we thought they'd probably be the best choice, because what is the SID? What is an SID at its core? It is an organization that is designed to promote and grow businesses in its borders, and that's exactly what this project is, except we're starting with a much, much smaller business for somebody that just doesn't have the scratch to open up a storefront, to build it out. That can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. This can give that opportunity, that toe in the water of entrepreneurship that otherwise wouldn't be available to them at all.
Denise.
How many, is it just one store in each box?
Well, my idea right now is that they'll probably start off as smaller vendors, so probably as many as 2 or 3. But I want to leave that flexibility to the SID so that maybe one of the entrepreneurs grows and he or she needs more space. So maybe they take up 2/3 or maybe an entire container over time. So I don't want to nail down exactly how many. But my idea, like originally, if they're a small enough entrepreneur, you could probably fit like 2 or 3 per container.
And the food trucks, I don't know if you decided that yet, but are they going to be consistent, or are they changing each week?
It'll likely rotate. There's another project I'm working on that I'll see very soon about for food truck parking, and that will have a bunch of locations where the food trucks will know where they can go, and this will be included in that. And in that program is a rotation, so you don't necessarily won't be stuck with the same food truck over and over and over again.
When did this start?
Well, I'm in the throes of the purchasing process, which is so much fun. He was helping me earlier today with that. So
this is a very complicated thing. We don't do this very often. It's got a lot of moving parts. Building stuff. You're voting on the license agreement.
Yeah, this is the easy part. So at some point, probably everybody in this room will be involved in this project. So far, Sean has, and Cam, and Pat, and Joe, a little bit of John, and Greg, and John.
I know this has been, I know the SID is looking forward to this, so I just want to know what's the timeline.
I'm trying to get this done by...
You're not being lied to. That's why you're hearing all of this. Yeah. You're not going to say it's going to happen next week.
No, so...
I just want a timeline. I know not next week,
I'll tell you what we're...
out by summer, or are we talking about fall?
No, I want April.
Yeah,
you want,
yeah,
okay,
it's imminent. It's imminent. Yeah.
I'm not dragging my feet. When I need to get a form, I go to the office and I grab the form and I take it to the person who needs to sign the form, and I get the thing done. That's one of the things I was doing today.
Jackson Hill is driving this. Like you can't
Jackson Hill is our partner. We are locked arm in arm. Michelle Massey would be here, but she had a problem with I think a roof leak. Yeah, but Michelle and I are in lockstep with this. We discuss everything with this.
I just want to know the timeline, because I know they
April.
look forward to something.
April's what I'm pushing for. The only thing that could screw us up is basically the weather. If we get a cold snap, it screws up when we can pour the concrete. But April's the timeline. I'm thinking mid to end of April if everything clicks.
You know what would have been good if we would have got this first before we got the
For the
food?
FUTA.
Right. That's what I'm
Well, the
thinking
FUTA
of.
is flexible, so let's just say this takes off, and maybe there's a day when we're not expecting to have food trucks. Then FUTA can come those days. We can figure that out. FUTA has flexibility. The food trucks have wheels. We can figure this out. There's no reason why we can't coordinate the thing. But if we're doing both at the same time, it does seem like it
Right.
competes a little bit.
Right.
But they're both mobile. FUTA sets up on a folding table. Food
Right.
trucks have wheels, so we can figure that out.
Put that in the notes. We could figure this out.
It's on the record.
I will figure this out.
Right.
Very, very
Because I know this can be a problem with food there and the food
Right, they're right
trucks.
across the street from each other.
Right, that's
Competing
why,
for-
and we're trying to build the area.
Mm-hmm.
Not, we don't want competition in such a way that no one will come. That's the challenge. That's why I said I wish we would have got this first before we got FUTA. Because then FUTA wouldn't make sense, because then we really be promoting this, which is necessary to build up that area, because you want, a small business there.
Absolutely.
So that's my concern. So I'll work with you and we'll see how we figure this out.
We will figure, you and I and Mira
I'm telling
and
you.
Denise, and
We're gonna
we're gonna
figure
figure it
this
out. We're gonna figure it out. Out of all the wrinkles that this project has had like that, I'm
For real. I'm
not that worried
serious,
about.
Because I know there's a concern with FUTA.
Yeah, it's a concern.
I know it is.
So, building on what
ahead.
excuse me, folks. If we could keep the side conversations down, folks. So just building on what the councilman's saying about FUTA, so I'll raise the same thing that I raised when that came up as a conversation. Right? So, knowing that it's Jackson Hill, that's going to be kind of running the operationally, I guess, day to day, right? Around that, is that fair to say, or am I?
They'll be
deciding-
effectively the landlord of the containers, but the city will be definitely involved in how the thing runs, and if something breaks or blah blah blah, basically my cell phone will be ringing.
But the responsibility for determining who the food trucks are, who's in the containers, all that whole process and selection process is being run by who?
On the container side, that's the CID. As far as the food trucks go, that may be more the city.
Are they aware of the food truck?
Oh yeah.
Jackson Hill already?
Yeah, I think
They've bought into the food
they
truck
agree.
idea?
They agree with me in that in order to get a project like this, which has honestly never been tried before, especially by us, and to maximize why people may go there.
Foot traffic, you need
Yeah,
food.
you got to have a reason to go there, and food definitely helps. So maybe you're coming there to grab your lunch or whatever, and then you see these brightly colored, attractive containers, and you walk through, and it works that way. The other things we'll be doing, we're already planning for music events that will be coordinated by the Cultural Affairs Department that will happen there to draw more people. So we're going to do as much as we can to make this place attractive and to make it work.
Who's responsible for the food trucks? I know, I didn't hear that clear.
They will.
Who?
The city.
See, the city or the CID?
No, the city.
With the
city will be
with the
containers,
TY.
right.
Right, I just want to get that
Yeah.
clear. Is the CID responsible for the containers?
Right. The CID, Michelle and her group, we'll just say Michelle,
Okay.
will be
Jackson
responsible
Hill,
for,
okay.
I'll use the word curating,
Right.
who will be in the containers and how long they're there.
Okay.
Serving as a landlord, but it's more than being a landlord,
Right.
because what we want to do is help these people figure out
Right.
how to be a business owner and teach them,
Right.
in addition to just like giving them a space.
Right. And the food truck will be responsible for the city. The city's responsible for the food truck.
I think it'll work better that way, yeah.
I'm just, okay, what department? I'm just going to go all the way in now. What department?
Well, the
When I
way
say
the
all
food
way in,
truck
because
ordinance is
I
written
don't
right
want no
now.
conflict of interest here, because I know FUTA, and I know what department is handling that. Okay, now we dealing with the food trucks. What department will be handling that?
The way the food truck ordinance is written right now,
Okay,
that is under the Health and Human
I
Services.
thought so. I just wasn't sure.
Right.
Now, we can see that because there's a concern up there because of the food and the food trucks, the SID, what voice will they have with the food? It seems like they don't have no voice who's gonna go up there when it comes to the food.
Well, I wasn't consulted about
No,
food,
I know.
and neither
But-
was
Right.
Michelle.
Right, so you see you understand what I'm.
Yes,
my
I do.
concern.
There's a lack of coordination.
I just wanted it out there. That's my concern. That's my concern.
Like,
Oh, that's my concern. You understand my concern.
Yeah.
Because one person is controlling all the food, and then we want to build the area, and yet the SID is only controlling the business that go in there. So then the SID won't have a say who can really go up there when it comes to the food portion, which they should have a part in it also, because they do understand the area also.
So it's my understanding.
There's no reason why they can't
No, but
have
I'm
a
just
say.
saying, because like you said, you didn't know, and the question was.
It came as the food thing came as a surprise to me.
Okay.
The more I've learned about that particular program, there seems to be some flexibility in how
Okay.
that can operate. So
Okay.
my hope is that we can figure out a way to make, because on rainy days,
Yeah,
sometimes food trucks don't come out. The
Right.
food truck people they're a capricious bunch. They don't always show up when they're supposed to, or for as long as they're supposed to, and sometimes they park where they're not supposed to, and there's a reason why I'm working on a new ordinance for that. So there's no reason why we can't have both if we really take a moment to think about how to coordinate that. And I think we can figure it out. Do I have the answer right now?
I
Absolutely
mean, is
not.
it
That's okay.
appropriate to put that into this agreement in terms of who's, and I look to the law department on that as well, like,
As far as the food trucks go?
the food trucks, the selection of food or vendors, and is that part of this agreement as it stands, or?
No.
This is just an access agreement essentially?
It's just,
That's it.
basically, it gives them kind of a license to use the property for the.
So is there another, because Brian told me there would be some agreement with Jackson Hole. I'm not sure if this is the only one, or is there another agreement that comes forward that establishes kind of the roles in this partnership, I guess, right? So-
Well, there'll be like a management plan, and that'll have hours of operation, and et cetera, and I was gonna leave that to Michelle to go into the nitty gritty, but she didn't show up, so. I can talk a little bit about that, but Michelle Massey, I can talk a little bit about that, because, obviously, that's a dialogue we have between us. But if Michelle has thoughts on what food truck she wants and doesn't want there, we have each other's cell phones and we can figure it out.
I get it, I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, like the thing is,
I think just.
Council President, we've never done this before,
I know.
and I don't want to get too hamstrung in exactly how things will be laid out, because I guarantee you, whatever idea that I have right now of how this thing will be run, 3 months after we start it, I will probably be proven wrong on about 80% of it, and we'll have to make adjustments. But I think overall it's a good idea, and there's enough latitude between us and between the SID to figure out how to make it work. And that's really what this document is. It gives them the latitude to run those containers the way they see fit, without much involvement from us at all. And I think that's actually the way it should be, because they are the boots on the ground.
Where's McDonald's in relation to this? Just
McDonald's is, so it would be, you would walk out and you would make,
across, right?
yeah, kind of.
I mean.
Dunkin' Donuts is right next to it.
Dunkin' Donuts is right next to it. I mean, technically and legally, according to our municipal code, it may be in violation of kind of.
It's our own property, so it doesn't apply.
No, food truck location would be in violation
Right.
of, like,
There's
where.
proximity to the, fast food
You
places.
probably want to do some sort of exemption or something to allow that
Sure.
to thrive. Anyone else have questions for Eric on this?
Thank you for your
Appreciate
time.
it, Eric. Thank
thanks,
you.
Eric.
where to go from here. Joe, I'm gonna let you off the hook. You're up, you got one item, right?
It is, the stop signs.
3A, is that the one? Come on up. So Joe Cunha has 3A. It's an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332 of the Jersey City Code, designating Oakland Avenue and Jefferson Avenue as a multi-way stop intersection. It's a four-way stop.
Good evening, Council. This was one of the customary requests to study an intersection that was perceived as exceedingly dangerous, either speed-wise or crash experience-wise. So what we did is we conducted our standard, warrant analysis in accordance with the MUTCD, which MUTCD is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, adopted wholly by the NJDOT as state law. It's in the NJ statute. So it was determined that this intersection met the warrants, at least one warrant for a four-way, multi-way stop, I should say, not four-way.
We've been asking for this for a year and a half, 2 years, okay? And yet I ride around downtown before you, and Candace had signs put up all over the place, and nobody ever said a word. This should have been done a year and a half ago, just like they did downtown.
So I'm actually glad you touched on
I'm not
that.
blaming you. You
No, I got it. I just want to educate, right? So when it comes to this, what that breeds, unfortunately, and I'm not disparaging anybody before I got here or anybody, or Councilman Solomon got here.
That had nothing to do with something.
What it breeds, we'll just use an example. Is it York? I think it's, what's the one that showed up on Facebook, Councilman, where 60 some odd people didn't stop at the stop sign in a 1 hour period? Jersey and York, that's it. That's what it breeds. So if a stop sign is not there for a reason or warranted, it will breed situations such as that. That's why we have to be very careful with each and every one of these. And that's why, you know, we follow the letter of the law with that. We try to justify each and every one, and I know it takes time, but eventually we'll get there.
I think Ridley still has a stop sign we gave her in the office there. Not you, Candace.
The other.
You got the names all mixed up.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Any other questions for Joe? If there are none, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, yeah, Kate, come on up. And I think Pat's going to join her on this, is that? Z12. Folks, this is Z12. It's the award of a contract to Lease Servicing Center, Inc., doing business as National Cooperative Leasing, Inc., for a 3-year lease of 4 2019 Nissan Leaf vehicles for the City of Jersey City's vehicle sharing program through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative, formerly known as the National Twin Powers Alliance, NJPA.
Hello, council members. Kate Lawrence, City Manager.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pat Stamato, Director of the Department of Public Works.
And there's one thing I wanted to correct in the resolution. It says that it's for the vehicle sharing program. Vehicle sharing program is something we're also doing that will complement this, but it's not being done at the same time. So the electric vehicles is a purchase through Sourcewell. The sharing program is with another contractor. Yeah. So in case you were confused. Yes.
Would you like for me to read?
So these may or may not be shared vehicles, or they will be.
So we are
Go ahead.
We are getting 5. We will have a pilot program for 5 vehicles to be shared, and they will be located at City Hall. The car sharing technology will probably go into place before the EVs come, but then they can be switched over to the EVs. The idea is that a car sharing will allow EVs to be used more frequently, which means that we can maximize the benefits of the electric vehicle because of the mileage. However, they don't have to be used for the EVs if we end up wanting to put EVs at a separate building where it doesn't make as much sense to use the car sharing. There's flexibility in there.
Councilperson Ridley.
So this isn't for the car question, or you're saying?
No.
So what is this for?
This is for electric vehicle purchase.
Leasing.
Leasing, sorry.
We're just leasing electric vehicles, so.
For what though? Like who's using the vehicles?
For the fleet. So these are going to be replacing vehicles within the city fleet.
Yes.
And Pat could probably speak more to that.
Yes, right now we have four Nissan Leaf vehicles that are being leased. And we're talking $489.08 per month for these vehicles. They will be replacing at least 6 light-duty vehicles used by various departments, including the BA's office, the mayor's office, and the law department. So these are going to be spread around in those departments.
And we're leasing this.
Yes, ma'am.
So what about the mileage? I mean, if you lease a car and you go over the mileage,
I
it's
believe
no
at the end
good.
of this lease.
So I'm
all
trying to figure out
the
why we
vehicles-
leasing.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I've got more details on that. So the reason why we're leasing, there are a couple of reasons, but the one you may care about most is that we'll actually end up saving money. So we'll be able to take advantage of a federal tax credit that's available. So we'll end up saving $2,289 over if we had purchased them outright. And the reason why is the federal tax program is only allowed to private companies, not to municipalities, because we don't pay taxes.
And I just want to add on, the vehicles also are being leased rather than purchased to take advantage, like it was stated, the EV tax credit. So there's a tax credit for us to lease these vehicles, these electric vehicles. And also to acclimate the automotive division to this new type of technology. These will be the first electric cars in our city that we'll be using, and it'll give us an opportunity to see what the maintenance, to see, really to experiment to see how, is it really beneficial for us to go into electric cars versus the new gas cars that are similar to these, except, we'll be able to find that out. And what is really the maintenance on these vehicles? And there's naturally, there'll be federal money for this.
So that tax credit program that's going to save us, you're saying, that credit doesn't go to us, obviously we're a municipality, right, or does it?
Right, that's why the leasing helps us, because we are able to take advantage of the tax credit program by leasing them.
Reducing the cost of the
The
lease.
third party is enjoying the tax credit.
Right.
So normally it would be over $600 then, and then you're saying we get a $200 credit or something? Or?
Basically, it's roughly about $300 cheaper than if we didn't work it out this way, if we went to go lease a vehicle.
And what about the maintenance on these leased vehicles?
They don't know.
Maintenance will be done by us. I mean, they're under warranty, but it will give us an opportunity to see how complex it is to maintain these vehicles. From what we know, what little bit we know about it, the maintenance on these is pretty, enough compared to a gasoline vehicle. Oil changes, gas usage and everything that's involved with it. I mean, we're talking about an electric vehicle. Main thing is we're already slated to put in charging stations at different locations. So I think we'll get a lot more out of these vehicles in one respect. That's all I can say. I mean, I've always looked at it, and when I have looked at it personally for myself, the vehicles that I had looked at, you tried to shoot for a range of 300 miles. But is it really worth it when you spend that kind of money for the vehicle? This is what the funding that we'll be getting. I feel this year is a great start for us to get a real feel. Is this going to be really worth it for the city to be involved in electric vehicles?
Other questions?
Can we find out which vehicles are being taken out of the fleet and placed in these?
I think they've identified which ones are coming out, right?
Yeah, they're going to be replacing 2 Jeep Liberties, 1 Ford Explorer, and a few other vehicles. But all the vehicles are generally around 10 to 15 years old, following the recommendations that came out of the fleet inventory done by Montclair State students, which is that vehicles that are either have over 100,000 miles driven or are at least 10 years of age or older should be the ones that are replaced for either electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, or modern vehicles.
There was an inventory by Montclair State students?
Yeah.
When was that done?
Last year.
Of our entire fleet? We've been asking for an inventory.
Right. So when was that?
I think there might be some confusion. I want to jump in on it. I believe the study was done a while ago. I'll confirm that to make sure, but.
She has a report. When was it done, Kate?
2018.
Can we get a copy of that inventory report?
Could you give us a copy, Kate?
Yeah,
Thank you.
but it's using 2016 data.
Right, that's fine, but we was asking for a report.
We've been asking for
fleet, yeah.
Probably 9
Should we
months.
sign up
I
to
think,
email
right?
all the council members?
Sure, yeah, this was
Yeah.
finished as part of their greenhouse gas emissions inventory, so, they did this study. And I know that it was it's available, so I can definitely
Yeah.
share it.
Oh, we want to share with DPW.
What?
We want to share with DPW because the automotive,
Oh, Marty has this.
well, Marty didn't share that with us. So.
He might, it may not meet all of his needs, because this was really meant, yeah, it's talking about greenhouse gases, so it's sort of broad strokes. It's not very specific, it doesn't say like that, for example, that the police vehicles don't meet X, Y, and Z. It doesn't go into that. It's really about general recommendations for the fleet and general sort of overview of fleet based on the 2016 data that we got.
They can give a count.
So tell me again which show.
But I've heard that, yeah.
You email that, and you also
That's
know
all
which
I-
ones are being taken out. I know you said that loud, but you just put that.
Okay, but they're 2016, so some of the things that are in the 2016 won't necessarily be still around. They may have gotten rid of some.
And what do we do with the vehicles that are being taken out?
Right.
Auctioned off,
You auction them off?
scrap, yeah. It's basically,
Is that part of the auction that we do with all the other vehicles? They get us nothing
No,
back to the
actually,
city?
this is gonna be treated differently, believe it or not. The other vehicles are, if you're referring to the car pound, I mean, that's totally different. What we have is our vehicles that will be auctioned off as one, as one large number of vehicles that will be replaced.
We have inventory.
I'm sorry?
Do we have inventory of all the vehicles that will be auctioned off?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
That we do have.
Okay.
Have you been conducting this, well, who conducts this auction process?
That will be done through automotive. Marty, I'd like to be in there.
And have they done this in the past already? I mean, we've had vehicles.
It hasn't been done really on our end. The only thing we've done is a car pound, and the reason for that is the vehicles that have been put out of service are no longer, they're just scrap vehicles. They're,
But we hold on to our vehicles forever, so we wouldn't have no purpose to have auctions.
They're scrap, they're just used for parts or just broken.
But now you're auctioning
They're
off.
shot.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry?
But you're gonna auction it off?
Definitely. If these vehicles are running, and this is what I'm listening to as far as the cheap liberties, they are running vehicles. They're not like some of the pickup trucks or some of the other vehicles we have. And, they'll definitely be auctioned off.
Apparently, they're always in the shop.
Which one? The one being taken out of? Yeah, they're all shot and decommissioned. Which were the departments or divisions that are utilizing these vehicles?
Well, the final logistics are going to be figured out soon, but it's expected that there'll be the business administrator's office, the mayor's office, engineering, sustainability, innovation, and the law department.
All here at City Hall?
Yeah.
Could you put one into council? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
have
just curious.
control over those decisions.
Who
has control? Right.
I believe this is coming out of the VA's office. I think this will be controlled by the business administrator.
So is there a policy on the use of these vehicles then, if it's gonna be?
Sorry,
I
you're
mean, I
talking
kinda
about
agree
the
with-
electric vehicles or the car sharing? Because electric vehicles are just replacing vehicles that are already in the fleet. They're not.
Same policy, no new policy.
Yeah.
Same
That are already run.
The
Well, we
new
should be
thing,
able
the
to
share
share
thing
that.
is gonna come back to you.
Yes.
So there'll be no sharing until you approve the sharing.
Right.
Right, so it's not being shared. Once we approve this, and we acquire them, purchase them, then they will be
That's right.
utilized by someone, not shared, right?
Well, the BA's office has one car that we share among ourselves, our staff, to use, to take it to on business. So in that way, it's shared. There's one in the law department for that purpose. There's one in the mayor's office for that.
Councilman Rivera.
Can we make sure that these cars do not go to director's offices, maybe like messengers and stuff?
Are you talking about the electric vehicles?
Yes.
Yeah, so absolutely, the goal of the electric vehicles, in order for them to be most impactful on carbon emissions, is to have them used as much as possible. So the idea is that they would be ideally shared, but the car sharing software is separate.
I understand.
Okay, so ideally they would be shared once we sort of get that going and figure out the logistics, or they would be working within a department so that they would be used by many different users. But the idea is that they should be used very frequently in order to make the most use of their very efficient operation.
Messengers will be perfect for that.
That sounds right to me, too.
But to the councilwoman's point, Alderman, that I recognize car sharing is not part of this, but knowing that it's going to be part of this at some point, it would behoove us as a city council, I think, just for us to approve vehicles if we're not going to be part of the sharing program. So we would want assurances that that the city council was going to be part of that.
Because we could be here buying regular cars, gas cars, to replace these cars. All you're asking right now is to replace cars that are going to be pulled out of the fleet that are old and decrepit. So even if you were to say, no, we don't like this car sharing, we'd still need the cars.
No, we understand that, but we just want to make sure that the council is a part of the sharing. I think that's what
you
we
should do that at that
Right, that's all we're saying. We understand about the cars, but they need to be.
We should be part of the cars whether they're shared or not.
Right.
Period, right? So that's another
we
issue by
know
itself.
that, but we should be a part of it, that's all. That's all. We understand that they need to go.
Yeah,
We do.
so I think that we'll bring that up with the PA.
Sure,
Make
please.
sure that one is assigned.
Sure.
So, did I hear correctly that the title is wrong on when you first started? Or is okay.
It just says, it's a little bit misleading, because it says that their resolution authorizing award of a contract to lease servicing center for a 3-year lease of vehicles for the City of Jersey City Vehicle Sharing Program. It's not for the vehicle sharing program. I think that is because in the original, so that's because the actual description involves car sharing because it says that they will utilize that in the future. However, the actual title shouldn't say that it's for.
Well, then the fact sheet would have to change.
No, the resolution fact sheet is correct.
Yeah, it says vehicles be shared among departments, da-da-da. It says.
Maybe we need to pull this until everything is right.
No.
The resolution title is definitely correct, and if you want, why don't you read that, and this way they understand what we're talking about.
Well, it's correct. It's just misleading. That's all. As far as it will be used as part of the vehicle sharing program.
So we don't have to correct the title.
I think that it's fine. It's a resolution authorizing award of a contract to lease the Servicing Center Incorporated, DBA National Cooperative Leasing Incorporated, for a 3-year lease of 4 2019 Nissan Leaf vehicles for the City of Jersey City's vehicle sharing program through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative. So they will be used and they will be shared, but to call it for the sharing program is just funny, but it's not incorrect. It's just mildly misleading. But they will be used for car sharing when that system is put in place.
I heard that before you first started, so I was
Okay.
concerned.
Thanks. Any other questions, anyone? Thank you.
Rhonda, why don't you bring up Margaret so she can home?
Margaret, yeah.
We got a couple of folks in front of us.
Oh, Margaret is here.
All right, okay. Margaret, everyone loves you. So
saw her
Margaret's coming up.
earlier.
That's fine.
Hey,
We're gonna do Margaret's, all of her items.
All right, so I have 6 items. They hopefully this will go quickly.
God bless.
So we're gonna start with 3E.
3E, okay.
Or sorry,
10E.
10E, I'm sorry, I'm tired.
Out of practice.
I am, I'm rusty.
So 10E is a resolution authorizing the execution of a grant agreement and the acceptance of a grant award from the State of New Jersey Office of Local Public Health.
This is a grant specifically for our city clinic to conduct STD testing and treatment for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis, I think.
No questions? Next item?
We did 10F, 10G.
So that is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept grant funds from the Hudson County Department of Health and Human Services for peer grouping meal program and to execute a grant agreement.
So we're accepting money from the county for, I believe this is Meals on Wheels.
Folks, any questions? No. So I'm going to ask the question on behalf of Councilman Yun, I guess, although he didn't ask me, but I know he always brings up the survey and have we done surveys on all these, probably on the next one too. as to whether or not people are satisfied with the foods and things like that. And if you have that information, it'd be great to.
I would be very
share that.
happy to ask Angela Davis that. She's the Director of Food and Nutrition. So, yep, I'll ask. And so let me just write that down. Angela surveys food quality. So actually, while we're on that subject.
Like satisfaction surveys.
Right.
Right, satisfaction.
So we are actually, if we can, skip to 10Z2 and 10Z3. Those are both resolutions extending our contracts with our food vendors for our senior congregate meal sites and our Meals on Wheels vendors. So we're going to extend those for another 3 months while we issue an RFP to look for new vendors for senior congregate meals and senior home delivered meals. So that search, I believe at the next council meeting, we'll probably be here with that RFP. So you guys can see it and authorize us to issue it. So it's not ready yet, but I know that Angela's been in touch with purchasing just to see what the guidelines are for that. And she's actively working on it right now. So
Definitely like to see the satisfaction surveys on these.
Okay.
And these are the ones he's always talking about, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Are there any other questions on extending the contracts on a month-to-month basis while we wait for the RFP? Okay. So then back to where we were before. I'm sorry to jump around. 10H. And that's a shared services agreement with
Bergen County?
Okay, yeah, with Bergen County for cancer prevention. So this is actually a grant that's been issued to our Community Health and Wellness Division, formerly Health Education. So that's going to be about cancer prevention, primarily smoking cessation. So it's for our health education team to conduct that kind of just basically informational work, letting people know how not to get cancer.
Bergen County?
Yes.
That's what it says, the County of Bergen.
Do we know, can you say a little more about what they're going to spend money on?
I'm actually not sure. They didn't give me a budget or anything. The Bergen County just said here's some money to do smoking cessation work. So.
Okay. Do we have a plan as HHS?
I will ask Linda Ivory about that.
Yeah, if there's any information you can share on how we're going to spend it.
I think we get this annually, so it might just be that, we got it and it was very pro forma and she didn't give me that backup and stuff, so I'll check and see.
That'd be great.
Budget. How will we spend?
Okay.
Okay, and then there's two more.
Two more.
One more. 10R, which is a contract with Multimedia Solutions Corporation for the maintenance of the Healthier JC website. So Multimedia Solutions built the Healthier JC website for us, and we are exercising the option in the contract to extend it for another year for them to continue to maintain the website for us. That's all that is.
Any questions about that?
How much did it cost, I just want to make sure I understand the numbers, how much did it cost to build and then how much did it cost to maintain?
So it definitely says it in the contract. It's not to exceed, what is it, 31,000? But they only bill us for, I believe they keep track of billable hours. And last year, I think they charged us underneath the bid threshold, so it was less than 17,500. So we're not paying a whole lot for this. Yeah.
I'm not an expert on maintenance for websites, but it sounds a little high.
Yeah, it won't exceed that, or at least fiscal has assured me that based on what they billed us in the previous year, that it wouldn't exceed that. They really we call them and we say like, hey, the calendar's glitchy, can you fix it?
Sure, yeah, exactly. I mean, can you just send us then what they spent last year on maintenance?
Sure.
And then that'd be great.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, I am going to bring up all our planning folks and get them all out of here too. So we'll start with Cameron, I guess. Cameron has 3B.
What is it?
3B.
Good evening, Council. My name is Cameron Black. Been in city planning 2 years. Tonight we have an amendment to the Garfield Avenue redevelopment plan. This is adjusting the literature to permit a artisanal furniture manufacturer at 15 Wilkinson Avenue, formerly operating out of Hoboken, and we are very happy to have him in Jersey City. Specifically, what triggered the appeal of the zoning officer's decision was the use of a spray paint booth, which to the zoning officer's analysis triggered a D-use variance, and we needed to have the literature adjusted because a spray paint booth can mean quite a few different operations, such as a automobile spray painting, and we needed to specify that in the literature of this redevelopment plan so that we could have Robert Pilhowski's Furniture Company operating out of 15 Wilkinson. The second component of this is permitting the operation of the Maxis Auto Dealer. It has been located at the corner of Garfield and Bayview for well over 10 years. The district for that area of the redevelopment plan is zoned residential. We want to see that auto dealer continue to thrive there, and if he wants to make improvements to his property, this would make it so that he doesn't have to go to zoning board for a variance because he is not a permitted use in a residential district. That is the extent of this amendment to the redevelopment plan.
Whose ward is this?
F, that's your name.
Is Councilman Robinson aware of all this? He's on board, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, we had multiple encounters with the community and neighborhood associations.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, anyone? Nope. Thank you, Cameron. All right, Erica and Tanya, 3C.
Is Tanya here? Tanya? Remember we were supposed to meet last week and there was a little confusion, and this art plan I think should be held off until we sit down with the neighborhood again.
Which one?
We were supposed to meet last
This
week.
3C?
Yeah, yeah, we showed up and there was a problem, Tanya had some problems, couldn't.
Oh, yeah, that was the meeting I walked into, and you guys
Right,
were...
yeah, you were there, and I think this should be held off, Tanya, until we sit down and talk. Because otherwise, I'm gonna get, you know what, from a lot of people, all right? Can we hold it off?
This was really just a response to the... Yeah, this was a response to the request of the council to look at, due to a further analysis of the Public Arts Fund, to look at whether or not we should, instead of looking at like $35,000,
Right.
we should look at per square foot. So this is actually just me reporting back the analysis I did.
Right.
Can you hear me?
No,
my
phone's not working.
It's not working? Okay, so
It's
this
for
was just in
the
response to our previous meeting where I know Councilmember Solomon brought up looking, instead of using $35,000 per unit to determine how much money should be contributed to the Public Arts Fund, that perhaps we look at square footage. And so I did an analysis looking at a development that was approved in 2017 and seeing if they had applied the Public Arts Fund per square foot or by a fixed amount of money per unit, you know, how much money would actually be contributed to the fund.
Right.
So that's pretty much, that was my understanding, the purpose of me coming back tonight to discuss that.
Okay, so we're not talking about 3C?
Isn't this 3C? The Public Arts Fund?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll
Okay.
talk about that.
So you are introducing it. I mean, his request is to remove it.
Well, it's the first reading. I'm going to go back to people in the community. They were very concerned about this whole thing with the arts and everything. And if they don't, if they go along with it, that's fine. If not, I think it should be pulled till we sit down in here and talk about it.
So when do you want to make that determination? You're looking at second reading, or you're going to?
Yeah, I'll call them tomorrow and speak to them. I'll make a copy of this.
Okay. So there's a request from the councilman to meet with the community or himself and some other members. Okay. On this, your question answered sufficiently?
I only had a chance to review the memo briefly this morning, so can you just summarize completely?
Yeah, so for the property I looked at, it's on the corner of Cottage and JFK. The
Right.
property has not been developed yet,
Right.
and I believe it's a 20-story building. And there, so I took the square footage amount that was suggested by NW Financial, because they did analysis when we were looking at the affordable housing,
Sure.
and then for this, and they suggested $3.50 per square foot. So I applied that to the floors for the residential units, and for this, also the size of the office space for this particular development. And so for the office space, if instead it was a contribution to the Public Arts Fund at $3.50 per square foot, $40,600 would have been contributed to the Public Arts Fund. If it was applied to the residential floors, which average less than 3,500 square feet per floor at $3.50 per square foot, it would have been $24,395 contributed to the Public Arts Fund. But if it was for $35,000 per unit, $140,000 would have contributed. So just based on that project alone, we would get more money for the Public Arts Fund if it was the price per unit. Now, also note that these floors were quite small because this building has several setbacks. So a lot of the floor plates were very small.
So couldn't you in theory, though, just increase the price per square foot?
Yes.
To sort of, balance,
I mean, you could, but based on what NW Financial stated, $3.50 per square foot is appropriate for General Square. But if we do a cost per unit, it's suggested it's not $35,000, that's actually $50,000 per unit.
Okay. So, I don't want to hold things up too long. I mean, can I maybe start a separate conversation with you and with the NW guys and just have more of a technical conversation offline
that's
on
fine.
how to do the calculation? But if they're suggesting a higher per unit price, should we put that in the ordinance?
Yes.
Because the ordinance itself still had the 35K.
Right, yeah, so I didn't adjust anything because I thought this was
Would have the conversation, sure.
yeah. Because this would have to go back to planning board.
Separate of Rich's concerns. And the other thing is, no matter what we end up deciding, I think it's just a good practice to start to index these to inflation. Sort of write in that, annually on January 1st, the per square foot, the per unit cost increases with inflation, and then we come up with a measure of inflation that we agree with.
Yes.
That we think is a good one.
That makes sense.
Is that a conversation you guys are going to have before the meeting, the council meeting, or?
Well, I think it has to be
She has to rewrite this.
amended no matter
Yeah,
what,
she has
because
to
the number is
rewrite
different than
it.
what NW is suggesting.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
So we're going to have a new first reading
What's the
ordinance.
number that's
So
going to be?
NW at a minimum is saying 50K per unit.
Right.
Versus 35K.
Saying 50K per unit.
Yes.
That's the year.
Yeah, it's at the end.
So the ordinance will have to be amended, it'll have to be corrected for the council meeting, so I'll have a new ordinance from you guys?
Yes,
Before
but that
Wednesday.
would have to go to
Planning
planning
has to go
board.
back to planning.
Okay.
So it
And
won't be
planning's
next
meeting is
meeting.
tomorrow?
Correct. Yeah, so this could be placed on the first April meeting for
Well, give you
planning.
enough time to go back to your community.
Oh, wait,
too.
no, sorry, we're in March 26th, all right. It
You
could
have
go on
enough
the
time to
March
go back, because it's
So-
gotta go back
Planning
to
board
planning
meeting.
anyway, thanks.
Should we withdraw this then?
I mean,
Yeah.
Sounds like you're going to go back to planning.
It definitely makes sense to withdraw.
and then
Right.
Councilmember Bolgiano can have the meeting with the
Get the
community.
meeting.
That'll give you time to do that.
Okay?
Okay. So just one other question then. So as you look to, Tanya, as you look to introduce the inclusionary zoning,
Yeah.
how does this reconcile with that?
This?
Yeah.
There's not, I mean, I don't know reconcile, I think they're just two different things. This is an amendment to the language to record store, I guess.
So is there an additional for the affordable, if like, so hypothetically, if the inclusionary passes, is there a 20% plus an arts bonus? Is that?
I think the inclusionary zoning has really more to do with being triggered by a developer asking for the amendment. This is really us looking at General Square and kind of tweaking some of the zone 3 and.
But this bonus couldn't also
no, it's different from the affordable housing ordinance, but if we had the affordable housing bonus, which is something that we're considering or discussing with planning, we couldn't combine the two. Right now, this is written where the public arts bonus would be alone. You couldn't combine bonuses.
You couldn't combine the two.
Could you combine the
So
two?
it would be public arts, not in lieu of an affordable housing bonus.
I mean, maybe later we would amend it because we don't have it. We don't have.
I'm just asking the questions, I'm not
I don't think
advocating
we
one way or
can do
another.
that in lieu of. I think that we're writing in as a regulation to the plan.
Councilman.
Okay, here. So, that's okay, that's okay. I'll just.
You're going to debate this before we
Right,
vote, so.
forget it, I'll wait. I'll wait. Go home.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to withdraw.
Yeah, we're gonna
They're
withdraw
gonna
it,
withdraw it.
so it's gonna go.
Okay, Pat, sorry to keep you waiting. Pat has a couple of other items, 10Z, 10Z1, 10Z4. Let's get Pat out of here.
Let's say those numbers one more time. 10Z1.
10Z, 10Z1, 10Z4.
Item number is 10Z, and it's to supply and deliver large black plastic bags, 30-inch by 59-inch, 3 mil flat seal, 42-inch by 46-inch, 4 mil flat seal. DPW spent about $38,000 in 2018. There were 4 bidders. This was a public bid for the plastic bags for all the parks. And we had Central Poly for $42,570, Glow Pack for $48,275, and Peterborough Packing for $48,722, and All American Poly for $50,894. The low bid was to Central Poly for $42,570.
Okay, any questions on that, folks? Next item, 10Z1.
Doug.
10Z1 is,
This week.
Renewal of contract with.
It's renewal.
Oh. Yes, Virgin. This is just the option to renew the preventive maintenance and troubleshooting maintenance for the security equipment at City Hall and Municipal Court.
Any questions on that, folks?
This is just for maintenance of the X-ray.
X-ray machines.
Okay, and it's that expensive to maintenance of it?
Yeah, it is. I want to look at the items from last year.
Sure.
It seems a little high. I didn't have a chance to discuss it with our fiscal officer.
Okay.
That seems a little high, but it's they're expensive items.
Yeah, can you just let us know what they did last year, so we get just a sense of.
Correct.
Before we vote on Wednesday. Thank
You got that?
Just what they did last year on this contract.
It's,
Yes, there are contractually obligated, like they.
And what that breaks
But they do preventive maintenance by contract, which is semi-annual and annual at the sites, as well as some monthly preventive maintenance, but then they also come out when we call them when things break. So I'll find out what that entailed over the last year.
So just to summarize, you'll get a breakdown of how much was spent last year.
Correct.
Okay.
10Z4. 10Z4 is a resolution authorizing month-to-month extension not to exceed 3 months, effective March 16, 2019, for a contract with Henry Air to provide HVAC and boiler maintenance for the Department of Public Works Division of Building and Streets and Maintenance.
Yeah, we're doing one more month-to-month extension on this contract while we finalize the bid specifications to put it back out to bid. The prices, they're honoring the prices from last year. So this is just a stopgap until we can put it up to bid and receive new bids for a new contract.
Any questions on that, folks? Hearing none. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Sorry to keep you waiting, guys.
That's it. We'll get you that information.
Thank you. Your son is home?
Yeah.
Give him the message, sink Navy.
That's fine, he said sink Army.
Okay.
You can't sink the Army. It's on land.
We're almost done. I can't help but notice that's so we have 10Z52, John Metro.
10Z52.
Z52. The very second last item. Because we will have one late item, it looks like.
Yeah. 10Z52 is a resolution authorizing use of competitive contracting to award a concession contract to construct and maintain indoor vertical gardens at various city locations. City-owned property, excuse me.
Yeah, so the administration is looking to do a request for proposals for this purpose of indoor vertical gardens throughout the city on city-owned properties. Due to on city-owned properties, this way we have the rights to all the activities that are involved. We're looking to increase access to healthy, locally grown food, increase the consumption of fresh vegetables, and improve the health outcomes of chronic diet-related conditions. So essentially what we're looking to do is create these smaller, vertical indoor facilities that will grow fresh greens, a variety of greens from spinach to arugula and several other types of greens. And we're looking to put in throughout the city in different locations that would service all the populations. So senior centers, City Hall Annex, potentially 2 or 3 schools as well, and partnership with public housing facilities and doing 2 of those as well. And the idea is to provide access to affordable, healthy greens, and the second component is to educate and inform the population of
what's the chemical?
You know, how much quality of health and related benefits from consuming these greens. This is strictly for the RFP for the providing the services for the infrastructure and the maintenance of these facilities. And then the city is working with HHS, Director Flanagan, and we're going to put together some health initiatives, ways in which these greens will be distributed, voucher system, or in the schools they'll be allocated weekly or bi-weekly salads and those types of matrix. The funding source for these is provided through the capital that was issued last year.
Yeah.
And we'll see what the proposals come back as.
How much should we budget for this in the capital?
Roughly $1 million.
What? So I distinctly recall asking at that we get something on that capital budget. Something, there was nothing at the capital budget, approvals and so forth, as to what an urban farm and everything, descriptive information, some descriptive summary document of some sort about what this proposal would look like. You did a nice job speaking about it just now. So we never received that, to my knowledge. I don't know if anyone else has, but I have not. And so for me, the idea of authorizing competitive contracting is just putting us directly on the road for $1 million expenditure, right? But without knowing exactly what it is that we're, or not even exactly, but not even having an idea necessarily what it is that we're investing taxpayer dollars in at this point. So I would like to see that before being able to even make an educated decision as to whether or not, I know it's only to authorize the competitive contracting, but knowing how this process works, it's almost a fait accompli at that point, right, to do that once it's kind of, we put the wheels in motion around that.
So Council President, do you have any official correspondences or anything I could just look at to maybe piece together some type of proposal that would...
Official correspondence from me?
Well, or any information that was requested.
We requested at the budget, at the capital budget discussions around that stuff. It's on the record. I can pull up the transcript from that if you want. It's,
not debating that, just curious as to what kind of matrix of information at Council seat.
I didn't say anything, any form or format of it. We did. I just remember very clearly asking for some information about this and to get that. At the time, we were hamstrung about passing, if you recall, the budget, right? It was, we got to pass it now. We got to pass the capital budget, which, by the way, the law department, I know I also suggested at that time that we should put some new, maybe I didn't, I may have intimated that, I may not have said it very clearly, but we should put some rules in place that of the capital budget process, so that we're not in the same position again where we're just kind of approving $40 million of capital budget without having had the opportunity to kind of have more opportunity to reflect on that stuff and be able to do more analysis of what it is that we're looking to approve. So I'd like to see that, some sort of documentation. I will admit, I spoke with your counterpart at Jersey Public Schools by total accident last week about, and he happened to mention this whole thing, and I just learned about it before this kind of hit, and he was telling me a little bit about verbally, and said he would send me some information as well as to, like, from the school's perspective what they were looking at. But I'm curious, like, who's going to run this from our side, like, and operate this in all these different sites and so forth. Is it the Office of Sustainability and
we need more detail.
Do we have
how it's going to process.
potential sites?
Yeah, we do. So we're looking at City Hall lobby.
Could you email us all the sites?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll provide as much information as I can moving forward, and then we can have correspondence back and forth as to any specific information.
And just so I understand, Mr. Rick, so this would allow for the RFP, and the RFP would call for people to put in bids, and the bids would be to both construct and maintain basically being run. So basically, they're basically saying, we're going to construct this and we're going to be the farmers.
Essentially, what the idea that the city had was that they would train 2 or 3 individuals.
Right.
And then those
I've been to that farm. You have to train people.
For the actual farming of each site.
Yeah.
Okay, and is that, like, will that come back to us in the RFP when it's?
Yeah.
So if we approve this, then the RFP doesn't come back to us, it's just what you guys award the RFP comes back to us, correct?
So we specified the scope of services in the RFP.
Okay.
That the individual entities would have to respond with answers as to, I can give you some of the scope information as well.
Okay.
Yeah, like annual costs for gardens over a 3-year period, including installation costs, ongoing maintenance costs.
And this isn't standard. Is it standard when we issue the resolution authorizing the RFP to not actually have the RFP attached to it? Like, have us review the RFP, provide our thoughts on it? I don't know. I don't know how we do it.
I mean, I'll speak with purchasing.
Ask Peter.
Yeah.
Tell Peter to send it to us beforehand so we can put some input. That's all.
is the RFP prepared?
There's a draft.
It's a draft, so
I'd love to see
Peter.
it, yeah.
Just ask Peter to send
And
it.
I don't know what the standard has been in the past
Right.
when we've approved the resolutions
Yeah.
for RFPs. If we see them first,
Right.
we just approve the
But
RFP.
there's no prohibition from you reading the RFP.
Okay.
That's
Right.
for sure.
You
So,
can read
so
it.
if you want to start having it attached to the authorization, you can just do that.
Seems like a good
Yeah.
thing.
It would be helpful,
Yeah.
I just want to.
Go ahead.
Not to.
It's more reading.
Greg, but I just want to make sure we're purchasing that we're allowed to authorize circulation prior to authorization.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay?
It's not very good if he's going to say that it's not prescribed. But it's,
Right,
he's going to
just
say
wanna make
it's
sure.
not against the law.
Because we got to prove it.
Thank you, John.
It comes to us
Thanks for your
somehow.
patience.
I apologize.
Comes to us.
Okay, folks, we're almost home. We have Mark here with a late item.
Yes,
Okay.
it's not on your printed agenda, but it's going to be 10C53. It's a resolution authorizing an agreement with Express Scripts, Inc. for a period of 3 years, April 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2022, to provide a prescription drug plan for eligible city employees with an extraordinary and specifiable service.
So I can speak about that. I also can speak about if we want 10Q very quickly. It's just the resolution to authorize career builders employment screening for background check services for new hires, if you want.
So you want to do, why don't we do 10Q first?
Yes.
10Q, council members. Any questions on 10Q?
It's a contract with the Career Builder Employment Screen. Okay? We do background checks.
Yep.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Wait, yeah, look, Mark, I'm getting so many complaints. Payroll's screwed up. There's no dollar amount on the paychecks. The other day, the 1095C forms were mailed out. They were supposed to be mailed out by January 31st. What is going on? The cops are going crazy. They're not getting their proper pay. They're not getting their proper overtime. Something has got to be done, and it's got to stop.
Okay.
I don't know if the rest of them are aware of it, but it's gotten to be a problem. I wrote it down here. I was going to bring it up. I didn't know you were going to be here tonight because I was bringing it up tonight.
Okay.
And something has to be done. And there's a couple other problems. I told you a couple of weeks ago. I want to speak to you because otherwise there's going to be some problems here in the city. All right?
Okay.
This here has got to be solved. I don't know who's to blame, but it comes back to you each time.
Sure. So let's take those things one by one. So the 1095C, I know people think it was actually due January 31st. That's not correct. I actually sent out an email to the... Okay, well, I sent out an email actually citywide a few weeks ago, specifically noting that the due date for it actually changed to February 28th, and we did actually get everything out by February 28th, and it was mailed out to the employees. So that's
Mark, it's supposed to go along with your tax form when you file your taxes.
Okay.
So, when you mail it out, most people did their taxes. Okay?
I understand. I hear you.
All right, it's wrong. Okay, that's one line.
Okay. Okay, so as it relates to the payroll, so again, I fully understand and have taken full responsibility for the issues as I've tried to communicate regularly. This is our first migration to a new payroll system for the first time in 25 years. I know that there have been issues. I know that there have been hiccups. I know that the members of my team and our department have been working incredibly hard to fix everything as quickly as we can. I've spoken to Carmine, I've spoken to Pete Novak, I've spoken to the various union presidents about everything that we're trying to do. I wish I could say it had gone perfectly. It didn't go perfectly, but I can only tell you that we're working incredibly hard every day to try to fix everything as much as we can. But it's, we've been on the same system for 25 years, and it's a challenge.
Like 2 months, 3 months,
Well, it's. I hear you, and I agree, and I think that I don't know I can't speak to what they're saying in detail right now. I would hope that they would say it's better now than it was in January. Yeah, in January there were a lot of issues, but I would hope that now it's getting better, and that they understand that we're working hard every week, not just me, myself, but the payroll director, the pension director, the health benefits director, to try to get this stuff right. I know that it's frustrating for people. It's frustrating for me. Nobody wants it to be right more than me, trust me. But I can only say that we're working hard every payroll to fix more and more stuff as it comes up. And one of the challenges is that, some stuff you don't know until you actually do it, and then stuff starts coming out. And some of this stuff, some of the newer stuff is that, like things that we would not have ever known until we actually did this. And I can only tell you to tell anybody who has a problem, they can report it to us. We will make sure it's addressed. We will make sure it's fixed. Anybody who's telling you that, because I know that in general people have issues, but I just need to know specifically what the issue is, what's wrong, so I can fix it.
Not getting paid their overtime, not getting their proper amounts on their checks. Come on, Mark.
But what I'm saying is, without knowing specific people, I can't look at it and verify. We have been working with Shalice Gibbs and Tawana and Monique Burgess in the police fiscal office, and they're funneling everything to us. Anything that's reported to them in police fiscal is reported to us, and then we make sure it's fixed in the payroll. So if anybody is telling you that something's still wrong in their check, please tell them to tell Shalice. They can email me. You can give them my email. I'm happy to look at it and make sure it gets fixed. That's at this point the best that I will continue to do to fix any problem that comes up. Because I can only tell you that people are working nights, people are working weekends, people are working late, people are doing everything they can to try to get this right. But I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew it was a big change for all of us, for the entire city, and it's people's money. I get it. I'm not trying to mess with anybody's money, but I am trying to move our department forward. And it was really important to what we're trying to do to get a new system in line that was going to allow us to do that. But if anybody has a problem, you can give them my personal email.
I've referred some to Tawana, I've referred some to some other people.
Okay.
But it's got to stop.
I agree.
I don't know if they're aware of what's going on. I'm getting it because of the cops.
Of course, no, I know. I'm getting a tooth from cops. I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Can we get, go back to 10Z53?
That's the Express Scripts agreement.
So I can just briefly overview here, and I have copies of this memo from our broker if the council would like to have copies. But just big picture, this is a 3-year contract for our pharmacy benefits for our employees and for our retirees. We put this out to bid in October. We received 7 responses from different individual companies and also what we call coalition groups. So these are just sort of groups of pharmaceutical benefit managers that apply to RFPs as well. What we did was have our broker, who is Acrisure, just because of the complexity of this kind of contract, they take the contract and they analyze it and break it down and make a recommendation based on the cost projections and the number of claims that we have and say who we should select. In addition to using our broker, the council may recall a couple months ago, we also awarded a contract to a company called Remedy Analytics. They're doing a prescription drug audit for us as well. And so Acrisure works with Remedy Analytics to review all the proposals, and they come back to us, and they came back to us with 3 of the top and most competitive proposals. Those came from Express Scripts, which is our current provider, CVS Health, and Optum RX. So when they did a comparison, looking at the number of projected claims we'll have over the next 3 years, roughly the claims the estimates come out to about 91.5 million for 3 years, up to 92.2 million for 3 years. And the lowest bid that came back to us was from Express Scripts, which is our current provider right now. And so the recommendation is, in light of the fact that they are about $195,000 less than the next competitive bid, we sign another 3-year contract with Express Scripts. So that is the recommendation of the HR department.
Is that, so Acrisure just gives you the 3 and then you decide the final?
Correct.
And so your basis is basically that it's $195,000 savings?
Essentially.
Council members, what's the total contract?
So, I mean, you can't know because it's based on the number of claims that we get, right? So the more claims there are, the larger the amount we spend. But normally, we've expended about $25 million a year. I mean, our $100 million healthcare spend every year between medical and prescription, about $25 million, give or take, is prescription.
For my part, questions or concerns, comments on 4C? Hearing none, I'm going to go right to the resolutions. So, starting on the top, 10A is a resolution authorizing emergency temporary appropriation. 10B is a resolution.
Let me just interrupt on that.
Yep.
So are we going to see the budget at the next meeting? Is that the
Temporary budget.
No, the actual budget. It's March, right? So.
I'll have to ask.
Okay, we can find that out by next meeting. Okay.
10B is a resolution authorizing refund due to Hudson County Board of Taxation Appeals on property tax accounts. 10C is a resolution approving the appointment of members of the Community Advisory Board for the Open Space Trust Fund. 10D is a resolution authorizing a grant application to New Jersey Department of Law, Public Safety, New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety for the Distracted Driving 2019 grant. 10E through 10H were covered earlier. 10I is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City encouraging the administration to enter into an interlocal agreement with the Jersey City School Board pursuant to NJSA 48:12-A-22M, whereby the city will contribute 24% of the revenue from future tax abatements to the Jersey City School Board for the construction of or maintenance of schools and school facilities.
Can I check, Council? Did you want to say something, Councilman?
I just had a quick question. The 5th paragraph down, where it says that the construction and maintenance of schools adjacent to or in connection with the redevelopment area or project. So these funds aren't going into like a general fund. It would need to go to a school that's in the area of that development.
Correct. Well, what's going to happen, that's part of it. The other part of it is that they're going to submit some sort of a voucher system. The system is, we're still working on that right now. And then they have to provide an annual report at the end of the year to show us how the monies were spent. So, does that answer your question? Yes. Okay.
Okay. No,
Okay.
Councilman, just,
Yep.
so I thought I read somewhere, and I don't recall exactly where, but that it's a minimum of 24%, right?
Well, it's, that also, it's up to 24%, but it's going to be, they do each
Up to
abatement and
or
pilots.
minimum?
No, it's 24%.
Fixed at 24%.
Currently, yes.
Would you consider a minimum of 24% as language in this, or?
If that's what you guys feel is right, which is the way that this was constructed, was that it mirrors the traditional tax. So that's why we came up with the 24%. But I can certainly go back to the law department, and does anybody else have any thoughts on a minimum 24 or keeping it at 24?
I think the minimum being, again, just as you said, the basis being conventional taxes, 24%, so forth. But there has been talk ongoingly of, including myself at the previous conversations around payroll tax, about contributing more than that to the schools of tax abatements, future tax abatements as well. And then my question to the law department is, by doing this, do we, because ultimately the budget process determines the final allocation to the schools or anything else, right, which is our final vote, like ultimately, right? So does this in any way preempt that if we say we want to do 50%, I'm just making this up, right? But if we said we wanted to do 50% from some abatement or some dollar amount, that's 50% of the abatement to some to the schools, would that preempt this in any way from allowing that to happen? And that's why I suggest the minimum 24%.
I mean, I don't see that it would necessarily.
I'm sorry, the 24%, I know you worked with John on this, right?
Correct.
And you went through numbers and calculations, and you included, the numbers guide. I don't know the specifics. I think it's something we have to look into, but when you say minimum 24%, you're locked. You're locked in. Either way, whether it's a max or a minimum, you're going to be locked. I wouldn't be able, I don't know, Peter, off the top of your head, to comment on that without speaking to John first, because you, John, and was it Metro?
Yeah.
Someone else sat down and ran the numbers, so, like I said, it wasn't an arbitrary number, and unless Peter knows otherwise, I'd like to speak to John about that, because I know that you did a lot of work with John on it, and obviously one who is most responsible for not only the substance, but for the drafting. I think it'd be a little bit quick to say that.
Pre-meeting, this caucus, I just had a conversation with Metro about the state funding numbers that came in, state aid numbers, and he said it was more than they anticipated, right? The cuts, that is. So hypothetically, and then this is future tax abatement, so it may have no impact or bearing impact, because technically there's no tax abatements, right, happening, or future tax abatements happening at this point. But that could certainly change soon enough. And if that does, then that dollar amount or that figure could be a need for more than 24% if his numbers are accurate in that regard, right? So
also, my understanding in talking with Nick Strasser and John Hallinan, because they used the word that we're authorizing the administration to do it, that gives us flexibility to add additional line items into the budget, because that was another question that I had asked when we were preparing this document. So it does give us that flexibility. I mean, I would consider that, but I just want to go back and talk with John Metro and John Hallinan before coming back with the line, because
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I mean, the idea for this is, we're going to be having a lot of conversations around school funding over the next couple of years as we learn more about the different cuts they're going to have. This is, in a way, sort of a preemptive move on our part, so we have something in place in case when we get an RFP back from Bayfront or some things change around inclusionary zoning, that if an abatement does come before council, before we have a broader plan in place, that money will go towards something that's very well needed, like facilities and maintenance. Denise, but also to your point, one of the reasons why this language is in here as well is so it doesn't, if you, let's say for example, are talking to a developer about building a school building or having them contribute, this makes sure that they can do that in addition to this. Yeah.
I think as Norma just said a couple minutes ago, I mean, the 24% number was chosen intentionally and
Right.
kind of thoughtfully.
Right, well, because we initially talked about a like no less than a certain percent or no more than, and when they were looking at the numbers and looking at the comparison to conventional taxes, that's how we came up with the 24%. So,
Okay,
but yeah, but I'll ask them and I'll get back to you before the meeting on Wednesday.
okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay,
10J is a resolution ratifying an agreement with Bergen County to permit Jersey City police recruits to attend Bergen County Law and Public Safety Institute. 10K is a resolution ratifying an agreement with Union County to permit Jersey City police recruits to attend Union County John H. Stampler Police Academy. 10L is a resolution authorizing the settlement of the action entitled Gloria Johnson Moore versus the City of Jersey City. 10M is a
Jake,
resolution.
I'm sorry. Just going back to the police academies, not to the BA. The last graduation ceremony, there was 9 graduates, which is great. And it's my understanding there were 19 recruits who went in.
Yes.
And that, so I would like to request for the council to have for the last several academies, let's say 3, how many entered and how many graduated, right?
Rolando.
And how many are still with us?
There's a plain reason for that, Rolando. It's not like it was years ago. They're at the bottom of the list, and when they go to one academy, whether it was Jersey City, you don't cut it, you get thrown out. Because you don't want them to become a cop, and it's more problems for the people over the years.
Are they from the bottom of the list, the ones who just graduated?
They've gone through so many. I mean, don't get me started.
I was told these were the...
I was just arguing with him the other day on this.
So I could be wrong, but I was told that they were at the top. These were from the top of a new list. I don't know. So
We haven't started.
Those
Do
9?
we have it?
Those
Yeah.
9, read the comments on Facebook.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, but
I stand corrected.
the police director told me just a couple of days ago that it didn't correlate. That it was what part of the list the recruits came from and the percentage that fell out in the
last
academy.
one.
Yeah, it didn't correlate by where they were on the list. We always thought it was that, what Richie was saying, that it was at the end of the list.
Qualifications have
Why don't
changed.
we look
Why
at
don't we
what
get
the
the data?
facts are?
Yeah.
Let's get the facts
on
on
the data.
So I can go back further than last 3. Let's do last 6 to see if there's a
Okay,
call.
perfect.
Okay, so we're on 10M, is a resolution authorizing the settlement of the action entitled Terrell Cheatham versus the City of Jersey City.
10L and 10M, you should have received memos on those settlements. It's confidential memos. Let me know if you did not get them.
10M was touched on earlier. 10O is a resolution authorizing the payment of a claim submitted by ERFS
This is what I
Inc.
thought
for
Joe was
providing
gonna talk about.
environmental consulting services to the city.
Joe.
Joe Romanov, but actually, I think this was a result of the law department action, right, Peter? This is
Yes, this was something that had in the past been handled by the law department in relation to all the numerous, there's settlements that we've been, for years now, the city has been dealing with these, Honeywell and PPG in particular, and the law department in the past had bared the cost of the environmental expert. It was decided, starting with this last go-around, that the engineering would handle the cost, simply for the logical reason that this involves a lot of the infrastructure and installation and analysis of these sites that are handled directly by engineering. So it seemed like a logical and plausible spot. It seemed like it made more sense from a budget standpoint, and there was funding available as well.
Any questions on that, folks? None? Moving on.
Okay, items 10P through 10S were touched on earlier. 10T is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to AAA Emergency Supply Company Inc. for the purchase and delivery of fire hoses for the Department of Public Safety Division of Fire. 10U, V, W, and X were touched on earlier. 10Y is a resolution ratifying The award of the contract to Dennis J. McSweeney Dog Training LLC for the monthly canine training and evaluation for the Department of Public Safety Division of Police. 10Z through 10Z4 were touched on earlier. 10Z5 is a resolution ratifying the award of a professional service contract to the Institute of Forensic Psychology for psychological and physical evaluations for police recruits for the Department of Public Safety Division of Police. 10Z6 is a resolution ratifying the renewal of professional services agreement with Brock Elcher, if I may be butchering these names, Eichler, sorry about that, my apologies, to represent Kip Smith, Sheila Lane, and Geraldo Coppola in the matter of Terry Reynolds and Lorraine Oliver versus the City of Jersey City. 10Z7 is a resolution ratifying the renewal of professional service agreement with Light of Palmer Greenberg LLC to represent the City of Jersey City, Tommy Curtis, Greg Smith, Mark Umbry, and Alexis Exelberg in the matter of Nakia Wiggins versus the City of Jersey City. 10Z8 is a resolution ratifying the award of professional service agreement with the law firm Florio, Kenny, and Ravel LLP to represent Lieutenant Keith Armstrong in the matter of the state versus Keith Armstrong. 10Z9 is a resolution amending professional service agreement with Light of Palmer Greenberg LLC to serve as special counsel on behalf of the City of Jersey City City of Jersey City in commercial litigation matters. 10Z10 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of professional service agreement with the law firm of Andrew Vauto and LLC to serve as special counsel in the bankruptcy matters. 10Z11 through 10Z13 were touched on earlier. It is my understanding that 10Z14 is going to be withdrawn. Did you get that?
No, I didn't.
No, I was saying I have questions if it's not going to be withdrawn.
Give me 1 second, because I have a...
An email? You don't have to show me. That's fine. We can talk about it tomorrow.
I have the wrong one, I guess. Is there a resolution, Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission, is that?
Yeah, that's the right one.
Yeah, so that one from Jeremy Jacobson, there was an email from him that they're looking to withdraw a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Jersey City Municipal Utilities Authority and the Passaic Valley Sewer Commission concerning the development of a green infrastructure demonstration project. This is the email that I received.
Just for clarification, Jeremy Jacobson is an attorney in the law.
Right.
Okay, withdrawn, yes?
Yeah.
Okay,
10Z14.
it's withdrawn.
Okay. Do you want me to read all of these into the record?
I would say various honorees.
That's up to the council president if he will allow me to do that, but...
Yes, various honorees.
Various honorees for retirement and welcoming people to the churches. And we're recognizing our Women of Action members from all your nominations that you had on the Women of Action. And then we also have the nominees for the Irish St. Patrick's Day Parade from yesterday. All the honorees. Takes up a lot of space here in our resolution. And then 10Z52 and 53 were touched on earlier, so
we are done.
I am ready to take a motion
About
to...
second.
Just when I thought we were going to take a motion.
I will say that I did say 8:30 as 8:20.
How about that?
Pretty good.
You did say hold on a second. You said hold on a second.
No, I said motion, and I said second.
I thought that was hold on a second. So we have a motion by Councilperson
No, Rich, I couldn't resist. Sorry.
Prinzary and a second by Councilperson Ridley.
The opposite.
All in... Are you kidding me?
No.
So it's a motion made by Councilperson Ridley, seconded by Councilperson Prinzary. All in a motion to adjourn at 8:21. All present by acclamation, please say aye. We are out of here at 8:21. Have a good night.
Sorry, someone...